Oh, Beans, hello. How's it going? Hopefully your day is going well. If not, hopefully it gets better. Alrighty, looks like I can switch over to thumbs up. That's good. Switch over to game screen. Okay, I admit, right now this scene kind of does remind me of like sharks having a Christmas party. That's not what's going on. Alright, I'm just gonna be ranting about different shark movies. Alright. um, yeah, that's, I don't know. I just wanted to do it, right? I figured, well, I should probably no Sharknado. Shut the fuck up. No, I didn't put Sharknado on because I haven't watched that in like 8 years, and I didn't put Jaws on because I haven't watched that in like 3 years. These are the only ones I've watched in the last week. I've been on a shark craze, man. I've been on a shark binge. I'm getting fucked up by sharks. I I specifically went out and chose the random ones on the streaming services. I was like, I want to watch a shark movie, right? But like, what shark movie do I want to watch? So I put them all on, and obviously not at the same time. That'd be chaos. And I'll be honest, a lot of them were bad. A lot of them were really bad. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This first one, the Requin, I didn't even see a shark in the first half of the movie. I didn't even get through that movie, right? I got like halfway in, I checked the time, halfway in, no sharks. They were just on a house, or in a house that was floating on the ocean. I'm just like, how the fuck does that even work? So that one I had to stop. But the rest of them I did watch. Alright, I did watch all the rest of them. So I feel like I can talk about them. Alright. We're going to be going in order. Top down. Left to right. The left side is the titles. The right side is, are the descriptions. Alright. It's gonna be a dumb stream. Well, good luck with whatever you have to do, Beans. This stream will play Subnautica. Oh, look at that! You know, the universe just happens coincidentally. You know. Yeah, I'm 100% going to spoil every single bit of these movies. Well, okay. I have like barely any notes written down for this shit, right? But for the shit I do have notes for, I'm gonna be talking about that. Alright. Literally for the last one, I just wrote, watched Deep Fear, and all I remember is angry cocaine people. That's about it. Alright, but for the rest of them, I have like 3 bullet points each. Maybe 4. Maybe even 5. Because I got a little overzealous for 2 of them. Alright. But if you guys don't mind me spoiling everything, because, you know, why else are you still in the stream? Meg is the one with the bald guy inside with the kid. Yeah. The Meg is the, yeah. The Meg is the, it's a summer blockbuster one. Well, it might be summer. But it was a blockbuster one with Jason Statham, who's like the, he's like pretty big in movies right now. In like action movies right now, right? Because he did Beekeeper, that was very recent. He did the Meg, the Meg 2, the Mechanic Resurrection. I don't remember. I don't remember. He might have done Accident, man. I can't. I legitimately don't know. I say he's big on action movies, but like he's doing like the lower budget ones, right? But I think in chat, is he in F and F? F and F. I don't know what that is. Explain. What is he in? Wait. This is research time. What? Jason Statham movies. He was in the 4th Expendables. He was in Fast and Furious X. He was in The Mechanic Resurrection, The Meg, Fast and Furious 6, Crank 2, The Mechanic. Yo, no way, he was in the Pink Panther movie? No way. That's wild. Oh, Fast and Furious. Yeah. He's either Hobbs or Shaw, because I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie. For all the movies I've seen, I've never once touched a Fast and the Furious movie. I probably should, because they're like action movies, but like at the same time, I kind of don't want to touch them. There's like 14 of them, right? I have no idea. But he's that guy, right? He did a Beekeeper, the recent one that he did was actually really good. I like that one. There's too many to be honest, I know. You know, Tremors is where I stop, you know? 7 movies, that's the limit, right? Okay, let me write this in the in chat. Spoilers for the Requiem. Just so I have the time stop start areas, right? So it's like, start spoiling the Requiem. It was bad. That's a spoiler. That's also a review. It was a really bad movie. Okay, so how it starts off, right? How the Requiem starts off is basically this old couple, right? And okay, in the beginning, I will be completely honest, I would not pay attention to the first 2 minutes, but then I looked up from my book, because I was also reading at the time, but I looked up and I just saw this old couple, right? Who are like the main protagonists of this movie. And I'm just like, oh, actually, I wonder if it's gonna be, it might be interesting to see how an old couple survives a shark attack. And then I waited like another 45 minutes for there to be like nothing happening, right? And so it's like this old couple who's like out there on vacation because like something happened, maybe? I wasn't really paying attention. And so they're just in this random Asian country on the beach side, on this really shoddy looking hut, right? And somehow, for an inexplicable reason, they're in a hurricane or a monsoon, and all this water goes in, comes back out, and their little house that's at the end of a pier gets removed from the docks with like all the flooring still mostly intact and all the walls and the roof still there, and it gets washed away to sea while they're both still in it. And I'm just like watching this, I'm like, how the fuck does that work? Like I don't understand, like how's a house floating? And like you can obviously tell there's holes in that shit. That thing's gonna like sink for sure. But no, they get stuck on a rock, right? They get stuck on a rock, but they can still see things. Their house is built different. Yeah, I guess, you know, stupid little hut built different from, you know, other houses. But their little hut gets stuck on a rock, right? That's like jutting out from the ocean, and they can still see the shore, right? And then they go to sleep. And then they wake up. And then suddenly they're not on the rock anymore. But their house has, because it's like a 1-room house, right? It's like a vacation room. And so their house has gone away from the rock and is now just in the middle of the ocean. They can't see anything anywhere. And the guy's broken his leg. Right? And I'm just like sitting there, I'm just like, okay, so what the fuck? Like how does that make sense? You know? They just like they floated away. Like why I don't understand. And listen, I'll be honest, I was because all of this was happening, I did not at all pay attention to like if the acting was good. I was just paying attention to like how dumb everything was, because I'm just looking at that like shoddy little house. I'm just like, ain't no way they're gonna survive. And then I wait, right? Because the dude's leg is bleeding, his leg is broken. He must be getting blood into the water. There must be sharks, right? Wrong. There's no fucking sharks in the first half of the movie. And I'm just like, what the fuck, guys? And then that's when it dawns on me. Maybe it won't be fun to watch a movie about sharks eating old people. Who could have guessed it? Like, you know, I'm there for like a good movie or shark action, right? And this had none of it. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm just like thinking there's no point to watching this. And so that's why I stopped watching it. I was just like, it's over. I'm done. I can't watch any more of this movie. I'm 45 minutes of the way in. I'm just like, no. It's too insane. In like the most mediocre way. Like, I don't know. It was just really dumb. So like, I didn't like that one overall. Very, very poor in like, cause like a lot of movies nowadays will have like a thing to draw you in, right? And this had none of that, right? Like John Wick starts with him stumbling out of a car bleeding, looking at like a video of his wife, right? You know, action movie. You know, horror movies will start with like someone being got, you know? Like, oh my god, shark attack, boom, you're dead, you know? And this one started off with them already in the vacation area doing vacation things. The wife talked to her sister and her mom, and the husband, I think it was the husband, was playing soccer with the waiters. I don't know why the fuck, like, he, like a 40-year-old man is playing soccer with like 20-year-olds on the beach. But like, you know, he can do what he wants to do. As long, if the waiters I also feel like, you know, the waiters have a fucking job to do, you know. Yeah. What was it? And then they also made like no attempts to escape the house, right? Cuz they're just like, "Oh no, the house, it's like being taken away by the water." And then they just watch as the house drifts away from the shore. And they're like, "Oh shit, it's too far to swim. I guess we'll stay here." Then they hit the rock and it's like, "I guess we'll go back in the house and not on the rock." That was awful. It was really bad. But keep in mind, most of these movies that I'm gonna be talking about are like 5.0 average out of 10 on IMDb. You said this pretty well. I'm selling how insanely stupid it is, right? Listen, I need to make this interesting for both me and you, okay? Like, if if it's so boring, I can't even talk about it in an interesting way, there's just no point. Like, oh yeah, you know, Tim, he took a stroll on the sidewalk, you know, didn't kick any rocks or nothing. He just kind of walked, you know? Like, that's so boring. Like, if I was just like, yeah, so this couple, they like went out to this house and it floated away. That's an accurate summary of what I just said. They go to a house and it floats away. It's awful. You know, like, peak fiction. Like, now that I think about it though, a couple goes into a house and it floats away. It's kind of like Up, where it's like this old guy and a kid float away in a house. But at least in Up, they have like a nice, fun adventure, right? In this one, no, it was It was... Oh my god. That was so awful. Oh, hello! Crovacon. Sounds like a very bad musical that forgot the music. Oh my god, it actually would have been also boring as a musical, actually. I can't imagine that thing being good as a musical. Like, other sharks, because, like, there's not even sharks, right? There's not even, like, a song about, like, sharks. That's like, da-dun, da-dun, da-da-da-da. There's nothing. It's like, what's a song gonna be about? Their house floating away and the guy breaks his leg? Like, so bad. Listen, even music can't make that thing better. Oh my god. Every time I talk about it, I just imagine the house floating away, and it's like, there's nothing really even keeping it afloat. They're just like thinking that, oh yeah, it's kind of like a raft, so it might as well float, but I just don't think it would. Because you see holes everywhere in the floor. It's just gonna sink to the bottom. So, I don't know. Alright, now that we're done talking about the dumb, boring movie, we can talk about another... Actually, Open Waters was a whole separate ordeal. Alright, let me see. Spoilers for Open Waters. Is it Open Water or Open Waters? I can't remember. That's the whole point. You know, it took me like a week to watch all these things. I can't remember everything. But, oh, okay. Let me tell you about this one, right? So, let me preface this. Unfortunately, this is based off of a true event off the coast of Australia. And now I'm going to discuss the movie. So what I'm going to be discussing isn't the real thing, but the movie thing. And the movie thing was actually a really good watch. Like, not gonna lie, that movie, Open Water, like, you wouldn't expect it, right? But it was pretty good. You know, obviously not the best thing ever, you know, probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But it was definitely better than the 5 out of 10 that was given, right? They definitely could have cut it to like maybe an hour instead of like an hour and a half or however long it was. But Open Water, okay, so, premise, right? If you actually want to watch it, you know, you can leave. You know, not good for viewership, but I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't want anything spoiled for me. Especially if I, you know, hear something's good and then someone proceeds to talk about it. So if you want to see it, it's somewhere on a streaming service, somewhere. Maybe HBO Max. I can't remember. But, into spoilers now. So how Open Waters starts off is... Okay, the beginning is really long, okay? But it starts off with this couple, right? I don't remember their names, their movie names. But essentially the gist of it is they decide to go on a scuba diving adventure. Which sounds like a horror idea to me, right? I would never ever want to do something as horrifying as that. That sounds insane to me. But I guess to them it sounds fun, you know? They like scuba diving and all that shit. I personally do not. That's nuts. I don't like being in the water that's too deep. And so what happens is they go on this boat that has like 20 people, right? I don't know why I said it like, yeah, you know, 10, 12 people, but it just said 20 people. Anyway, it has like 20 people on this boat, right? Excluding the captain, some random staff member, and another random staff member that's on board. So I guess like 23 people in total. But 20 of them are like tourists. And so they bring these people out. Over 2,000 people. Is it a cruise ship? Whoa! You know, a cruise ship would make more sense considering what I'm about to say. But basically, under certain circumstances, or because of certain circumstances, they misread a head count, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, we have 20 people, let's head back. A scuba tour for shallow reefs are pretty cozy according to friends. See, even according to friends, I still wouldn't go, right? I've gone before when I was very little, and my brother bit a stingray in the face, but, like, other than that, I'm just not going out there. But so basically, these guys head out into, like, the middle of fucking nowhere, into, like, their regular scuba diving zone. And they're like, yeah, let's, scuba dive here. So these 20 people get set up, dressed up, put on their masks. One person, though, out of that 20, forgets their mask. This is important. And so the other people, well, they have buddy systems, so I guess, like, maybe one other person stays behind. I don't really know. But, like, there's a buddy system, and so these 20 people get off, except for this one dude who doesn't have a mask. And then this couple comes out from, like, the 19 other people underwater, because they just wanted to get out early or some shit. Like, they were tired. It's pretty tiring, I guess, being underwater for so long. And so they come up, and the guy is like, hey, I don't have a mask. Can I borrow one of your masks? I promise I'll give it back, I really want to scuba dive, And he's, like, making such a fucking fuss about it. And then, so, like, the husband of the couple is just like, I guess I'll go with you, because, buddy system and shit. So the two of them go down, and now it's 19 people back down there again, because, the wife is on board. And then, because of this situation, the head count gets, messed up or something. I don't really know. It wasn't very clear to me, right? But anyways, everyone except for the main two people get back on board, and they're like, okay, yeah, head count looks good, even though we're missing 2 air tanks and all their shit's still here, let's go back, And so they go back to shore, leaving this couple, right? And so when the couple surfaces, they see 2 ships, right? One, like, in front of them, and one behind them. And the one behind them is closer. And then they just, like, start trying to wave them down, be like, hey, come get us. But they don't, like, yell or anything. So they start, like, waving and stuff, and then both ships leave because, they decide not to swim to them. Which is insane. Like, why would you not just swim to a boat that's, like, close by? But they don't swim to them. So both boats leave, and now they're just stuck in the water, right? This couple is just there, and then you come to see, like, how their relationship works, right? Like, I would say it's a relatively good relationship, but they did fight, like, twice during that time. But they were, like, overall very, like, they're very much so trying to, like, comfort each other, because they're like, it's gonna be okay, they're gonna come get us. So 7 hours go by, right? And they both get stung by stinkfish a little bit. And I think the wife gets, like, bitten by, like, a little fish or something. So she's, like, trying to, like, do the starfish and float and stuff. And the husband is, like, trying to, like, hold on to her. But both of them end up sleeping for a little bit. When they wake up, they have to, like, swim back to each other, and they're, like, freaking out. And then that's, like, was it? Yeah. Then a few more hours go by, and then the husband gets bit on the leg by a shark. Oh, what's gonna happen? So his leg's been bit, and he's getting fucked up, and he's crying, and he's, like, possibly shitting himself, because who wouldn't be if they got bit by a shark? Now all these other sharks, they smell the blood, they're like, oh, a little meat flesh, I want. And so you see all these sharks, like, just engulf them, basically, like, surrounding them. And so they're, like, desperately just trying to, like, hold on to each other, right? And then night comes, and you can't see anything, right? It's just a black screen, basically, except for, like, little flashes of lightning. And it's just, like, them doing their best to stay together, right? And then some time passes. It's, like, I think it's, like, a day later, because they were stuck out there for 2 days in the movie. So, like, 2 days go by since they were first, like, left there. And they're, like, trying to do their best, but unfortunately, the husband does die of, like, blood loss or something, right? So he's just dead in her arms. And so she decides to let go of him, and he kind of floats away, and then he gets gotten by sharks, right? That's the end of him. And then she decides, well, you know, fuck it, time to die, and then she like goes underwater, and that's it. That was the movie, you know. It definitely could have been very short. It definitely should have been a lot shorter. But I thought the reactions between the two main actors were pretty good, and then like the overall horror of it, because like they like for long periods of time you would just watch them as they swam, which is kind of awkward as a viewer, because it's like, why would you want to watch someone swim? But like you just kind of had to, because like, you know, you have nothing else to do and there's a movie going on, I guess, right? But yeah, very very little shark action though. But I will say, real sharks. They did include real sharks in that. They spent like half their budget on real sharks and making sure the actors didn't get eaten, which is, I think that's a pretty nice touch. But that it was, because it's like, I think it made a lot more money than the budget, because I think the budget was like $50,000 or something, maybe 100,000. Very small budget for a movie, and it turned out pretty well for what it was. So I recommend it, but I don't highly recommend it. I also wasn't paying attention too much at the beginning before they got on the boat. Either that or I just forgot it. I probably just forgot it. But yeah, it's less of a shark movie, and more of a the horror of being stuck in the ocean with like no help, right? Because by the time the scuba team tourist guides, yeah, by the time the scuba guides realize that they're gone, it's been 2 days. So they sent out like ships and planes and shit to look for them. They're already gone, alright? That's a sad thing. You actually want them to live, because like you get to know them, well, you know, when they're in the middle of trying to not drown, but you get to know them, and then they just kind of die. So, oof. I was hoping at least one of them would live, but like, no. Sorry, my throat is like so dry. I just like but yeah, Open Water is definitely I won't even call it horror. I guess it's just like a suspense drama movie, I guess. The second Open Waters movie though has no sharks in it, and is about this group of friends forgetting to drop a ladder on a boat, and they all just get stuck around a boat. So okay, let me get this off my chest real quick. So about Open Waters 2, they all jump off the boat, but they didn't lower down anything, so they can't get back on the boat, right? And there's like these railings and shit all around, right? And so my thinking was like, they're all just trying to like jump back on board, but it's like too high for them. Their arms can't reach the like edge of the boat, right? And there's like this flag that they're trying to reach, but it like doesn't work. Here's my solution to that. If you have railings and you have clothing, why don't you just remove the clothing, tie it together, and use it as like a rope where you like swing it, right? And then like try to catch it with the other hand as like it wraps around the railing, and then just like try to climb up from there. Like, why don't you try to do that? You know? Like, if you're that desperate to survive, you can, you know, just, you know, make a rope out of your clothes. You know? And one of them also had a life jacket that has like the belt thing on it, like the really long belt thing. I don't know how to call that, but like the belt thing on it. They could just taken that off and use that too. Like, that thing isn't that thing like usually strong as hell? So like, definitely an avoidable scenario in that movie. And I did not at all watch the third one. Open Waters 2, awful. Open Waters 1, relatively decent. But oh, okay, nice. Now, after 30 minutes of waiting, we can finally talk about one of the better ones, right? I would actually say Deep Blue Sea is actually pretty good in general. Where's for Deep Blue Sea? I've only seen the first one, but apparently there's 3 of them, right? The first one though has Samuel L. Jackson, aka Nick Fury, in it. I actually really recommend this one. 2 and 3 were awful. That makes sense. Deep Blue Sea 1 is so good though. I love every single time they like take out a shark. It's so nice because it's basically like a it's a thriller movie, right? They're taking out the monsters, right? They're fighting back. It's actually kind of the kind of genre I really enjoy. But basically, right? Super good. Listen, if you want to watch, like, if people are listening to this and want to watch it because they should watch it, click off this video and watch it. Like, actually watch it. It's really good. But so basically, these fucking nerds at an ocean station are like, you know what we should do to cure Alzheimer's? We should make super hyper intelligent sharks. Yeah. And you know what else we should do? We should splice their DNA with human DNA so they can get even smarter. I'm just listening to that, I'm just like, why are you insane? Like, why did you do that? like I talked about this on a previous stream, but 100% don't use a shark. It's a water creature that is hard to contain because you're in the fucking ocean. Do something like a turtle, man. Do like an elephant, right? Elephants are hard to contain, but like they're land animals, okay? You can see them. They're big. They're gonna be on the ground. They're not gonna be, in the ocean below or above you, The ocean you have to worry about 3 dimensions. Ground you just have to worry about 2 dimensions for the most part, right? But get like a tortoise. Get like a hyper intelligent tortoise, Like, if you're gonna test on animals, do it on not a shark or like something deadly. Right? That's just like, okay, so their whole reason about it was like, oh yeah, sharks, they super healthy brain thing, something about science or whatever. But like, I'm sure you could find that in other animals too. Not just like the super deadly ones. Or if you do want to use a shark, do it in like an aquarium in the middle of like Wyoming or something with like no water around you other than like the small fish tank, and get like a baby shark. Get one of the ones that can't even eat an entire person's arm, right? And then have a lot of safety precautions. That's, I feel like that'd be a better version. Albeit less fun, obviously. But in this more fun version, where everyone is kind of dumb, they're like, okay, well, you see here, intelligent sharks, let's try to sample a little bit of their brain, let's get some of that brain juice. So one of the dudes, he used to be a smuggler or something, but now he's, working a job there, shark swimmer, I guess? I don't know, he's swimming with the sharks, he's doing something with the sharks. He has this, like, special move where he pushes himself into, like, a somersault right before a shark bites him. And he showcases this in the beginning where he, like, takes a license plate out of a shark's mouth after he does that. And then say, hey, hello, how are you doing? What? I haven't heard you say wink wonk in so long. You getting back into the groove of things? But, okay. So basically, right, this dude can do like a fucking acrobatic somersault in the water, which is insane to me. Like, how does a human body work like that? I don't even know if you can do that in real life. Could be worse, but I'm surviving. That's good. Well, make sure you live and not just survive. Define the groove. Oh, sorry, define the grove. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of grove you're talking about. Are you talking about like a vineyard? Maybe like, I don't know. The only thing I could think about for groves are grapes. Maybe like green grapes, purple grapes. You know, which kind of grapes? Groove? Define the groove? Getting back into the swing of things. You know? Like that Amazing World Gumball episode. I haven't slept. Well, that's very clear from that sentence that you haven't. Make sure you do, though. But, what was I talking about? Okay, so this guy can do a somersault in the water. Insane. And so what he does, like 20 minutes later, is he does the same thing. Yeah, no? You know what, to the somersault or to the sleeping? You're out of it? Well, get back into it, come on. No? Splash some cold water on your face. Simple. Okay, so this dude does a somersault, right? And then he dodges this shark, and then he brings it into the isolation ward or something about wherever the ocean research lab has, right? And so they now strap this shark down to the ground or whatever, and they're conducting this brain examination, and they're like, oh my god, this really does cure brain cells and stuff. You know, it re-energizes the synapses or something like that. And then dude's arm gets bitten off, right? He's donezo. I think that's the dad of Bill Skarsgård, right? The dad of Pennywise. His arm gets bitten off. So his arm gets bitten off, and everyone's like, holy shit, we have to, you know, get him some first aid. But before that, the main guy, the one you're rooting for, he pulls out a shotgun from the case, and he's like, I'm gonna take out the shark. And then the main annoying girl goes, no, we can't have that. Presses a button, releases a shark. Right? So she releases a shark. The shark is just out there swimming. And it's just like, it's gotten the taste of someone's flesh and avoid a shotgun blast to the face. And now that shark is swimming around again. And so the reason why the annoying scientist girl goes, oh yeah, we have to set the shark free, is because she wants to keep it alive for more research, right? And the main protagonist guy is like, what the fuck, bro? I'm trying to take out this shark before it takes out us, which is, I feel, a very valid argument. And so he throws away the shotgun. No more need for it, apparently, for the rest of the movie. No more shotgun for the rest of the movie. Right? Everyone brings the one-armed guy up to the surface, and they try to, like, call a first aid helicopter over to bring him out. But so when they do that, the helicopter comes over, they like attach him to a bunch of stuff, to like a gurney and shit, and they like try to rope him upwards, but now the helicopter is flying away, and instead of flying upwards, it flies horizontally into a wave. And it's just like, I don't know, but like they're insane. And so because of that, the dude in the gurney falls into the water where he's bitten by a shark. And then the shark drags the guy in the gurney, because like the gurney is still attached. I'm gonna explain this hard, but the guy in the gurney is attached to this metal tether that's attached to the helicopter. So the shark is basically dragging the guy and dragging the helicopter, and he drags the helicopter right into the side of the lab. And so both the people in the helicopter just get demolished, and so does the communications tower with a girl in it who is like calling for help, calling for the first aid helicopter, right? So no more communications from them. And so the main cast of people, aside from the guy in the gurney, go back down to the lab where his arm was bitten off, and they watch through this window and they're like, what is that? What, I can't see properly. What is that over there? Yeah, the water's too murky. I can't see. And it's a shark with the holding the dude in his mouth, like the dude in the gurney in his mouth, and the shark just swims over really quick and chucks him right at the window. And so you can see the guy in the gurney is still alive somehow, even though he's been smashed into a window and the window is cracking. So now that water's pouring in, everyone needs to leave that lab. So they leave it, they seal it off. Later they discover his body is still there, strapped into the gurney. But now they're basically trapped in the lab, underwater, because the elevator to the surface blew up or something. I don't know. And so everyone is basically grouped up at this. Everyone who's alive is basically grouped up at this point, except for the chef, right? And the chef, he has a parrot, right? And the parrot is kind of useless, you know. I'll be honest, doesn't do anything. But the chef is just like wandering around. He's like, "What the fuck is happening?" Because he hears all this shit going down, but he's not in touch with any of them. So he tries to call the communications. Communications are down. He tries to go up the stairs. The stairs start flooding, and he gets swept away in the water. And then when he gets back up, he's like, "What the fuck happened?" And he turns around and sees a fucking shark fin in the hallway. Because he's like chest deep in water, and there's a fucking shark behind him. Hello, Cujo. So good in the film. That's okay. I thought that's who it was, but he was really good in the film. I was rooting him for the entire time. The moment because like when he sees that shark, he like fucking books it to the kitchen, man. He's just like, "Oh fuck this shit," and he leaves. Right? He goes right to the kitchen, grabs a frying pan, and he's just like in the fucking corner right next to the door, and he's just like praying, and he's like looking out the window to his left. Because for some reason there's like a window between the kitchen and the hallway. He's just looking out the window into the hallway, and he sees the shark fin go by. I'm just like, oh my god! Thankfully he didn't die. He has so many more one-liners to give us. But so basically, he sees his bird or something, or like he wants to get to higher ground, so he starts climbing the shelf. But his bird scares the shit out of him, which causes him to tumble the shelf over. If I get this, I'll never drink again. Oh my god. Oh yeah. My very tiny self is imagining this and it feels like a fever dream. It should feel like a fever dream. Nick Fury's in there. Yeah, so the chef, he's just like, he's on the shelf and he's like trying to climb it, and then his bird scares the shit out of him. He falls over. And then he sees like the shark fin behind him or something, and then the shelf falls over, and like he has to quickly get out of that situation. He's like fucking trapped under the shelf. He pushes the shelf aside. He's like running over to the oven. He climbs into the oven with his axe, and he like closes it, and then that's when the shark like rams into the oven. And so for some reason, because of how the shark was ramming the oven or something like that, the oven gets turned on with him inside of it. And so so he pulls out this line that's like, "I appreciate the irony of a chef getting cooked in his own oven. I'm not dying today." So he like starts hacking away with his axe at like the top of the oven, and he climbs up to the top of it, and then he opens up the door to whatever's above it. I have no idea what kind of appliance he's in now, but right as he like gets above the oven and escapes it, the shark like crashes through the glass and is now in the oven, like its head is in the oven. So he quickly jumps over it, swims to the door, and pulls out a lighter, and he chucks it over at the shark, causing the gas to like explode and the shark bits to fly everywhere. And he like dives out of the door, and he survives. And that's a first shark death, I believe. Man, that was a good scene. I really like that one. What was the rest of it? Listen, I'll be honest, the chef was like the most memorable part. He was like the best part of that, right? That's right. You ate my bird. Chucks the lighter. Ah, that was so good. And so back to the... Because he reunites with the main group, right? And how's the second shark die? I completely... I remember how the first shark dies. I remember how the last shark dies. I remember how the second shark dies. But basically... No, I do remember how the second shark dies. Okay, let me talk about this. So basically, the entire group is now all grouped up together, and they're like... well, okay, wait, they're not. Wait. Basically, they're just trying to go up through like stairwells and shit to get to the surface, but it's like all flooded and stuff, right? So they need to restart a generator thing so they can unflood a staircase, something like that. Blah blah blah, more people die, blah blah blah, fire. And so we get to the point where it's just the chef and like the main annoying girl together, right? Because the other people are like trying to start this generator thing. And so the main annoying girl's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and get my research all alone by myself right now. And I'm just like, that's a death flag if I've ever seen one. And so they head over to, you know, get their research because they don't want to lose it, right? That's the whole reason why they let the first shark escape in the first place. You know, they don't want to lose the research. And so in the meantime, while she's doing that, the chef guy pulls out a camcorder and he like starts recording himself. He's like, these are gonna be my final moments, so I have some things to share with you all. To make the perfect omelet, use 2 eggs, not 3. Oh my, and he just goes into like an omelet recipe. In my opinion, I wanted to see the rest of that recipe. Because like, I would have absolutely made that. I would have tried it at least. But so this annoying research scientist girl, she goes and like fetches her research nibbles, I guess. I don't know what I call them. Data files? Something like that. And then a shark comes up behind her because like, for some reason it's already there. Or something like that. So now she's in there with a shark. And so somehow she manages to not die. Notes? Here, let me see my notes. My notes for this are Samuel L. Jackson, one-liners, 3 super smart sharks, annoying people die, and insane. I think that's pretty good for my notes. Oh, you mean scientific notes? Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, they're like floppy disks or something. I can't remember. But yeah, she grabs her notes, her data, her fucking research tidbits, and somehow the shark it's like refusing to kill her, right? She's the most annoying one there because she decided on her own that she was going to input human intelligence into sharks, and the shark is just like, it's just kind of like biting tables and chairs and shit next to her and not really killing her. And then she like somehow, after slipping her way everywhere, manages to get on a table, pull an electrical cord out of like a light, and like jams it into the shark's mouth as it like lunges at her. And so like the shark dies of electrocution, and then she just comes back and she's like alive. And it was like, that shark had like one job and it like couldn't even eat her. Like, man, that was rough. Anyway, she comes back, and so now it's like 3 people left because one dude died while they're restarting the generator. So it's main protagonist guy, annoying scientist girl, and chef. And so the 3 of them basically go up and like they reach this section that's like, oh, okay, we have fire extinguishers and we have like these balloons that can send us upwards. So what are we going to do? We're going to send up the fire extinguishers and us upwards, and hopefully the sharks will bite the fire extinguishers first, which they do until they don't. So they basically swim all the way upwards to the surface, And the main protagonist guy and the annoying science girl both get on top of like safe ground, and as the chef is swimming towards them, he gets like fucking grabbed from the side by a shark. He's like, whoa, right? And the shark grabs his leg. And so what does this chef man do? He pulls out his cross, his like metal cross, because he's like, you know, Christian or whatever. And he's like praying. And so he pulls out this cross and he starts stabbing the shit out of its eyes. He's going to town on that thing. I'm just like thinking, oh my god, is he like actually just gonna kill the shark by stabbing it in the face? So he like cuts its eyes and shit. He like takes it out, or like he doesn't take it out, but like he wounds it until it lets him go. And then he's like doing his best to like try and get back to land. And so he manages to get back up there, right? So now it's the three of them still. None of them have died yet. But he's bleeding heavily. So they patch him up as best they can, but he's not looking very good. And so the annoying scientist girl and the protagonist guy, they're like, okay, how do we take out this shark? We can't let it escape the facility. It's gonna make more super intelligent sharks. And so the plan they come up with is have a harpoon gun with dynamite and shoot it at the thing and blow it up. Right? But then they realize, oh no, the shark is too far away. What are we going to do? And so annoying scientist girl takes the plunge. She goes, jumps in the water, and is like, take the shot! And like she's like flailing around in the water trying to get its attention. And the protagonist guy's like running alongside the shark trying to like aim at it, and the shark goes swimming towards the scientist girl and fucking kills her. She's dead. She's done. And you're like, oh my god, the relief. The annoying one is dead. And then now it's just two people left. And so yeah, so the main protagonist guy, he like leaves behind his harpoon gun or whatever with a dynamite, because he's like, he tried to save the annoying girl by jumping in to try and save her, but she's donezo. Right? So now it's just him in the water with a shark, and the chef is kind of bleeding out. And so he does his like, as the shark's coming towards the protagonist guy, he like does his weird somersault in the water thing. He like pushes himself to the side of the shark. He's just grabbing onto its fin. Right? And then the chef, he like climbs his way up to the top of a ruined building and like aims the thing and like fires the crossbow with like a harpoon gun crossbow thing with a dynamite attached to it at the shark. And it impales the shark and the protagonist dude's leg. and so the two of them are now stuck together. And the chef has the detonator button. And it's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? And so the shark, it like sees a hole in the fence. So it swims by it. And as it does, the main protagonist guy grabs onto the fence. And it like yanks the harpoon out of him. So it's left inside the shark. And then the chef blows the shark up. And then that's how the two of them survive. Main protagonist guy and chef. So I highly recommend that one. That one is so good. Oh yeah, Samuel L. Jackson got eaten during a speech. That's right. Completely forgot to mention that. He was like making a whole speech about like how they weren't going to die, and like how they're going to do their best to survive, but they actually have to do something, and then he just gets eaten. It's like, it's insanely sudden, and I'm fairly certain it's like comical. But that's what happened. Yeah, I recommend that one. That one was good. I've watched that one like 5 times. It's very good. Deep Blue Sea 2 isn't a good film, but it's an entertaining film that's aware about how dumb it is. With a single watch at least. I'll have to check out Deep Blue Sea 2 then. I haven't been able to find it on any streaming platforms recently, but I'll try and look for it. I always remember LL Cool J's like, my hat is like a shark's fin. deepest, bluest. It's like a little rap song at the end. It's pretty fun. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix now? Wait. Deep Blue Sea 2. I didn't think Deep Blue Sea 2 was on Netflix. I need to check this. Deep Blue Sea. Oh, maybe it's like in like certain regions. I'll have to find it later. It might be on HBO Max or something. But yeah, Deep Blue Sea. What a fun film. That one's like an 8.5 out of 10 for me. That was pretty good. It's one of my favorite shark movies. You know, not that there's a lot of good ones, but you know, pretty good. A year and a half, wouldn't be surprised if it rotated out. That's probably it. I did see Deep Blue Sea 1 on HBO Max, so I'm gonna have to look on that though. It's been like an hour. We've only gotten through 3 of them. I can't imagine it would take me long to talk about the last 4 though. The last 4, like, you know, like what even happens in the last 4? You know, the Meg 2, the reef stocked, Deep Fear. Like, you can tell by my summaries. Big sharks, 4 become 3 in kayaks, something about cocaine. You know? Alright, let's get down to 47 spoilers for 47 meters down. The first one. AKA the first one. So I actually watched the second one before the first one. But I will say, surprisingly good movie. I was surprised that the first one was like pretty good. I think it was definitely for like a shark or even like a creature feature film. It was one of the smarter ones, right? Pretty good twist, right? And you do root for the character, like, as much as the main one, like one of the main 2, like hyperventilates, like you still kind of root for them, right? And so now this is your chance. If you want to watch 47 Meters Down, you get off the stream, watch it, you know. But I did enjoy that one. So let's talk about 47 Meters Down, right? I cannot say the entire film was smart, but I can say that most of it was pretty smart, right? So, right. The beginning starts off with these 2 sisters, right? They're taking a vacation because one of their boyfriends broke up with them for not being as quote-unquote fun as they wanted them to be. So now one of the sisters is like, I think their names are Kate and Lisa. I can't remember who's who. What can I name them? Sister 1 and Sister 2. No. Fun 1, boring 1. Okay. So the boring one is the one whose boyfriend broke up with them, right? And the fun one just kind of exists in like wherever they are. Like, I don't even know where they've been. Like the last few years, they've just been like hanging out in the world. But so basically, these 2 sisters are out there to have fun on a vacation to show how fun the boring one is, right? And the boring one is like, oh, I want to get back with him, even though he broke up with me. And I'm just like thinking, like, why would you want to do that? Have more respect for yourself, you know? He obviously wasn't that interested in you in the first place. if he's calling you the boring one. But, you know, she wants to prove him wrong or something like that. And so the fun sister is like, well, I guess the only thing to do to show him how fun you are is to go on a cage dive with sharks. And so the boring one freaks the fuck out, right? She's like freaking out the majority of this film. But she's like, oh, you know, I kind of don't want to do it. You know, I kind of don't want to do it. It's not really my thing. But, you know, she gets coerced, you know, peer pressure by like 3 people because like 2 of them are random strangers who are going to help with the dive. And then the other one's her sister, right? So the 2 sisters go out with this crew of like shark cage divers who are like used to giving tourists their fix of cage diving. And so they go out to the section of the ocean, and they and the 2 sisters get into a really rusty ass cage, right? I think it's nasty rusty. But they go down about I think they said they would go down about 5 meters. So they go down about 5 meters. I don't know how much that is in feet, but they go down about 5 meters down into the water, right? And they're there for like for a few minutes, and they're like, wow, this is so cool. I could be down here forever. And I'm just like thinking, that looks horrifying. Like you can't even see like 20 feet out. It's evil. But anyways, the boring sister, she's like, okay, well, you know, this is pretty fun. And then a shark comes around because, you know, the guys threw bait overboard and now they're sharks because, you know, they want to attract the sharks. They, you know, gotta get the excitement up. And so there's sharks now around the cage. And so the boring sister is freaking out. She's like, we need to go back up. We can't be here. Please bring us back up. And so somehow, because of movie magic, the 2 sisters are talking to each other underwater, even though there's like no radios and there's no earpieces in their ears or anything. They're just managing to talk underwater. Anyways, they also have a radio underwater. I don't know how that works. But aside from that, don't focus on that bit. So, the boring sister wants to go back up. It hasn't been, what, like 5 minutes they said? It's only been like 3 minutes? I don't remember. But the boring sister wants to go back up. So as the crane is like pulling them upwards, the crane just fully falls off. Like, I'm not even talking about the rope coming off of the boat. I'm just talking about like the entire crane plus the cage and all the rope. Like the entire winch just like falls off the boat. And the 2 girls, the cage, and the entire crane just fall down 47 meters. The title of the movie. So now they're stuck in a cage 47 meters down, which I think I read was like 150 feet downwards. They're pretty fucked up, right? They're not injured too bad, but, you know, it's pretty bad. And so they basically are like, oh, we're right outside the radio range. We can't like reach them unless we go up a little bit higher. And so the boring sister's freaking out. She's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Hyperventilating. I'm gonna hyperventilate. I'm gonna use up so much air real quick. And the fun sister's like, keep yourself together, you know, be calm. Don't use up all your air. Anyways, I'm gonna take my mask off and try to squeeze through the cage. And so the reason why she's taking her mask off to try and squeeze through bits of the cage is because the cage door at the top is being blocked by some of the crane chains or some shit. And so she basically takes off the mask, swims through the gates, or through the bars, and then puts the mask back on, right? Able to breathe again. Right. And so she manages somehow to like remove some rubble underneath the crane to get the crane the crane off of the cage. So now they're able to open the door. Pretty neat, right? Except now the fun sister has to go back inside the cage because, wouldn't you know it, there's a shark. And so now they're just in there. They're just hanging out. You know, they're talking to each other. They're like, oh, you're the fun sister. I'm the boring sister. We're stuck. We're gonna not make it. And so the fun sister, she's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to swim upwards. I'm going to radio for help. I'm going to tell them we're still alive and that we need help. And so the fun sister swims up to about the 40-ish meter mark, right? And it's like, hey, are you there? We need some help. Help us. We're, my other sister's in a cage and I'm at this level depth. And so the radio's back and he's like, okay, I'm gonna send down this dude with an extra winch thing and we're gonna send it down with you, or with the dude, so he can hook it back up. Right? And so the two of them get back in the cage and they're just waiting a little bit more. And at some point a shark comes around and like swims away and stuff like that. That's when they see a beam of light in the distance. Very clearly a flashlight beam, right? But it's like, it's not moving. Which, I was like, when I was watching the movie, I was like, that's gotta be the guy, right? That's gotta be like the guy, but he must have gotten like got or something, right? That's like his arm. That's like his arm's got like come off and he's just holding the flashlight still, right? And so one of the sisters, I can't remember who did it, one of the sisters goes, I think the boring sister actually, because the fun sister's running out of air, the boring sister goes out of the cage and like tries to find this guy with a flashlight, right? So as she's approaching the flashlight, she hears her sister behind her, even though there's like no radio that they're using. So she hears her sister from behind her being like, there's a shark behind you. And so the boring sister turns around, there's a shark just barreling towards her. And the boring sister just like goes down into some rocks and shit and just like hides from this shark, right? And so the shark like barely swerves upwards, not killing her. And then when she like takes a little peek out, she sees when she takes a little peek out, she sees the dude who's come down with the winch, right? And the guy's like, shh, be still. And then he gets fucking demolished in front of her, right? And so he's just like, he's gone, right? He's donezo. But his flashlight is there. He also has like, because for some reason the body's like still there, even though it's like half devoured by a shark at that point. So his flashlight's there, his body is there with an air tank, I might add, and the harpoon is there, right? And so, does she grab the air the canister, and the flashlight, and the harpoon? No, she only grabs the harpoon, and she grabs the fucking flashlight. She does not grab the air that they need. I don't know, man. But she uses the flashlight, and she shines it like 360 degrees, and tells her sister to bang on the cage bars with a rock when she sees the flashlight. And so, using that, she comes back, and, now they're there, I guess, in the cage. And so the boring sister now has to go up to 40 meters and tell on the radio that they're running out of air and the other dude's dead. Also, the boring sister actually managed to hook up the winch to the cage, which is pretty cool. So now they're being, like, winched upwards in the cage, right? All seems well. Until the rope snaps, and they fall back down, and the boring one's leg is trapped underneath the cage. And so the fun one has to now go out and do stuff, and they're like running out of air, so like the guy on the radio is like, I'm sending down air, So he sends it down with flashlights and shit so that they can see it. And so the fun one grabs the air canisters, and like as they're hanging back, oh, thank you, Kawakit, for subscribing. That nearly scared me. But so as she's like swimming back to the cage holding the air canisters, her face is just taken out by a like she's just gone, right? And I was just like, I didn't expect that, right? Like you would expect in a movie like this, it would end with the two sisters bonding after they both survived, but it just took her out. And so now there's just one air canister just on the ground next to the cage. And the boring sister is the only one left, and she's freaking out. So to the air canister is like, it's right outside the cage, but she can't reach for it with her arms. This is the first 47 meters down on the list? Yeah, this is the first one. I'm going down in top to down order. So this is the first 47 meters down, where they're actually 47 meters down. Spoilers. But how are you doing, Kawa? Hopefully you're doing well. I nearly just knocked books off my desk. But so basically, right, now it's only the boring sister that's left. And so her leg is trapped underneath the cage, and what does she do? What does she do? She grabs the harpoon by the wrong fucking end, and then so the next one is gaslighting us. The next one is gaslighting you, actually. It's not even 47 meters down. It's like 10 meters down. It's like not that far. But so so the boring sister, she's like, oh shit, you know, I have to get this harpoon so I can throw it at the gas canister. Like, grab the other one. Yeah, she grabs the wrong end of the harpoon, right? Of the harpoon gun. And so as she's like grabbing it, one of the bolts on the cage accidentally triggers the trigger and it fires into her hand. And I'm just like thinking, how are you that dumb to like not even like turn the harpoon so it's not aimed at you, right? But it fires into her hand and now she's bleeding. And but now she has a harpoon, I guess, right? So she goes and like chucks it at the air canister, and because it's attached to a rope, she always like tries to pull it back. Now you guys see the same? Yeah, absolutely. It's like, ugh. Like, I don't, like, just like, you know, be a normal person, like, you know, grab it by its side or something. But anyway, she uses her harpoon and the rope to like grab the air canister closer to her, and then she like, you know, puts it on, and now she's able to breathe, right? And in the last radio message to the people on the boat, he said he was getting the Coast Guard to go down there. And he was saying, oh yeah, you know, the reason why we didn't send down air was because you might get hallucinations and shit, right? And so now it's just the boring sister down there bleeding out of her hand, probably attracting some sharks. But now she has air at least. And then that's when she hears her sister, right? The fun one, right? So the fun one's freaking out. She's like losing blood and shit, right? And so the boring sister's like, oh, if you shine your, what was it? She's like, oh, I'll try and find you. And so she uses this like up down thing that scuba divers use to go up and down. Like a BP pack or something like that. She uses it to like lift up the cage off of her leg, and then she swims over to where her sister is, and then the two of them have to like swim upwards to the surface, right? So they're swimming upwards, and the other sister's like bleeding out, right? It's not looking good for any of them. And so when they get to the 40 meter mark, they radio back to the ship, and they're like, we have to get to the surface. You know, we're swimming up there. Oh, you're slowly reminding me of the... Yeah! That's the whole point of this. It's just me renting out movies. But, so basically, they're like barely swimming up this thing, and the boring sister's like, hey, use the flare, ward off sharks. So like lights one of the flares and it's like warding off the sharks, and then that flare goes out. They have two more flares, but the fun sister, as she's bleeding out, drops one of them. You know, classic fumble. And so, like, who could blame her though? She's bleeding out. So the boring sister goes and grabs another flare and is struggling to like turn it on. And then when she does turn it on, boom, there's like 5 fucking sharks next to them, and they're all freaking out, and they're like swimming to the surface. They have to ascend right now. So they're going upwards, they're swimming frantically. They get upwards, they reach the surface, and then they call out to the ship, and the ship sends like a lifesaver ring thing to them, and they like grab on it, like swimming to the boat and shit. And they're like, oh my god, we have to, get there. And then that's when the boring sister gets bit from the side on her leg, and she's like clawing at the shark's face and its eyes, and like it lets go, and then she like swims over to the lifesaver, and like they're both trying to climb up onto the boat, and like the people pull them up onto the boat and like try giving them first aid, and then the boring sister goes and like starts hallucinating. And then that's when you realize the twist, because the twist was she hallucinated that entire sequence. So she's actually still 47 meters down in the cage with her legs still trapped and her sister's dead. Good news though, the Coast Guard did find her. So you see like 3 flashlights with people attached to them. Or well, I guess 3 people with flashlights attached to them. And they're like moving towards the cage. They like help her out. They like slowly go up. And then they reach the surface, and that's the end. Only 1 sister made it out, and 2 people died to sharks. Yeah. That's right. That is right. Like, honestly, that twist, because of how, like, it was mentioned, the hallucination bit, very, like, vaguely, and, like, as like, a general, or a genuine threat, I was like, okay, so like, they might get it. I don't know. And then when the twist happened, oh my god, that was like an actually good twist. Like, I was surprised. Like, that twist was really good. And that other movie where they go up to the cell tower or something. I don't remember. But like, the 47 meters down twist was good. I like that one. And the boring sister survived. So, there you go. Now is she really the boring one? Or is she the one with PTSD and having lost a sister? But, oh man. That was a wild ride. And I enjoyed that one. I would have to give that one like an 8.5 out of 10. Like, I feel like I enjoyed Deep Blue Sea and 47 Meters Down both, but for different reasons, obviously. Deep Blue Sea, action, kill the sharks. 47 Meters Down, suspense, terror, survive the sharks. And then now I guess we go to the sequel. How many shark bites out of 10? I'd say about 7 shark bites out of 10. Not too much shark action. Okay, there was a little bit of shark action where like the shark rammed its head into the cage, I guess. And then a few bites here and there, but like not too much, which I think was good. If you overuse shark attacks in a shark movie, they're gonna end up boring, right? You gotta use them sparingly. I mean, obviously not too sparingly, otherwise the movie becomes boring like the Requiem. But use some of them. Alright, now let me jump. Exactly, like jump scares in games. And so now I suppose let's talk about the second one, right? Okay, so as you would expect, it's also called 47 Meters Down. They might have gone 47 meters down, but I really don't think they did, right? Like, it just seems so shallow. But basically, the premise, right? Never saw it? That's fine. Okay, actually, I will say though, it is an interesting shark movie. But it's not, like, because I rated 47 meters down, like, 8.5 out of 10, This one's like a 6.5 out of 10, right? It's a solid 2 points behind the other one. It's decent enough to watch once, but like, it's not the best shark movie, right? There's good parts about it, and there's also bad parts about it. And it's certainly not as scientific as the first one. Right? Because like the first one was like, oh yeah, the sharks are going to attack you from below, so stick to the ocean floor. Or like, when they scratched at the shark's eyes and face, it like let go. I mean, obviously that was a dream sequence, but still. Or like, the first one was talking about the bends, and that's why you couldn't just swim directly upwards, because you would get the bends, the hydrogen bubbles in the brain, and your brain would explode. You know, stuff like that. The second one has none of that, and has dumb teenagers, because of course it does. So, but if you want to watch it, just stop watching stream and go watch it. Like, I'll be honest, just do that, right? Because it's a decent movie, but it's not one I would watch a second time, right? So I guess we'll get on with the spoilers for it. So essentially, as the original 47 Mirrors Down, this one stars two sisters, right? Two sisters, they're like teenagers or something, and like one of them's an outcast. That must be spoiled, gotta expect that. Okay then. But so it stars two teenage sisters, and they're like they're only sisters because or they're like stepsisters, right? Because their parents remarried. And so blah 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 blah. One of the sisters, two friends. In this one, I don't think I need to like designate which sister is which, because I don't think anybody cares enough. But so two sisters and two of one of those sisters' friends are there, which makes a group of 4 people: 2 sisters and 2 friends. And one of those friends is like, oh hey, you know what we should do? Instead of going on that shark boat to watch sharks, go up to this boat for whatever reason, we can actually scuba dive. And so the 2 sisters, they have their dad has discovered this like underwater cave system that has like a catacombs in it, right? And they're the first ones to detect them. And so it's his dad and his 2 coworkers. And it's just those 3 people that know about the cave, along with the 4 friends, or the 2 sisters and the 2 friends, so I guess 4 friends. And the 4 friends. So one of those 4 friends was shown by one of the dad's coworkers about the cave system. And they're like, oh shit, now that I know, it's time to bring friends to the cave system. So sure, everything will be that one person's fault who suggested it? Exactly. Right? And so so one of the sisters, who's actually a likable character, goes, I don't know, I don't think we should do that, you know? Like, we probably shouldn't go in there. And whatever. But, you know, through the power of peer pressure, they managed to all go into this cave. And it's creepy as fuck, man. Like, there's, like, stone statues of people that were probably actually people that were, like, ashified or something and turned into stone. I don't really know. But they're just kind of like, they're in the cave, and they're like, oh, look, this, that, the other thing. And then they see, like, this fish with no eyes, and they, like, one of the friends, because they're dumb as hell, goes, ah, we can't be scared of this thing. And they go up to it, and the blind fish does, like, a hiss at them. They're like, hey! And they, like, scream at them, which causes someone to knock over a statue, which causes silt to come up, which causes everyone to be blind. No one can see anything, right? And so, eventually the silt settles, and they can see kind of, and they're all making their way back, and on the way back to, like, the cave, they meet one of the dad's coworkers, right? We'll call him Coworker 1. So Coworker 1 is like, what are you guys doing down here? I'm gonna be in so much trouble because I showed you and you showed your friends and all that, and then he gets eaten. The shark just comes up from the side and like demolishes him. He's like it fucking bulldozes right through him, and he's done so. Right, he's gone. Coworker 1 down. Right. And so the 4 friends, they freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, we need to go now." And so they start swimming for like the cave entrance, which is smaller than the shark. And the shark just like tries to like ram its way in, and it just can't, but it's like destroying the tunnel, and the tunnel's collapsing. And then the tunnel collapses right as they're about to like go through the entrance. So now the 4 friends are stuck, and they have to go out through the other way, which is where the dad and coworker 2 are, right? And so along the way, they realize that this shark must be part of the ecosystem in the catacombs because it's blind. Ooh. So it's like a blind great white, right? And they're just trying to like avoid it, not make any sounds, but like they keep making sounds because when their air depletes, then like their little thing beeps, and the shark's like, "Oh, I hear that." It like goes at them, like tries to get them, right? And so they like have to hug the ground. They have to like be careful of like things that make noises. They have to hug the walls and stuff because it's blind. And so eventually they manage to reach this big room full of statues, right? Statues and pillars. And before the 4 friends enter it, coworker 2 is there. He's just kind of existing. He has like a speaker over in the other corner of the room, like blasting music, and he's like doing something. I don't really know what his job is, but he's doing it, I guess. And so he's been working away, and then he hears a crash, and he turns around, and he's like, "What happened?" And he sees his speakers got like destroyed and are on the ground now. And as he's looking at that, he realizes that there's movement around him, and he's like freaking out, and he's like moving backwards into like a stone statue and stuff. And then the shark comes straight at him, and he's screaming at it, right? And then I think it cuts away, but like he's definitely eaten. And so the 4 friends are like about to enter the room, and one of the sisters is like, "Oh well, we should probably like scout it out or something, so I guess I'll go first." So she goes in there first, and she's like scouting at the location like a little thief, and is like looking at everything like, "Okay, is there a shark here? I can't really tell." And then as she's like backing up, she backs up into like the statue that the coworker number 2 was next to, and then sees his head just like there without a body, and she freaks out. And then that's when the dad just suddenly fucking teleports next to her, and he goes, "Shush, be quiet, there's a shark over there." But he like does that with hand signals, right? And so there's this big shark that's like looming over them, just swimming past as they watch, right? And then they go and quickly grab the other 3 friends, and then they make their way to the other cave entrance, which is like a how do I explain it? The main cave entrance that the dad uses is basically like an egg if you cut off just the top of it, so that it's like it curves upwards, and you cut off like the top of the egg. That's basically it. They're inside of the egg right now, and they're trying to escape, right? And you can't climb it because the walls incline like an egg, like if you're inside the egg. And so there's this rope that they can use to get out, but but the dad's like, "Okay, we have to do this one at a time, and we have to be careful about it. So why doesn't this friend go first?" So one of the friends goes, and they like start climbing up the rope, right? And and then they realize, "Oh shit, there's like 2 sharks beneath us." And so another one of the friends freaks the fuck out. She goes ballistic. She starts climbing the rope with the other person still on it. She like fucking tramples the person. She like keeps climbing, and like the rope is attached to like, you know, basically nothing, because they had to like throw it up there. It's not gonna withstand the weight of 2 people. So the dad's like, everyone's screaming at the girl who's like being insane to like let go and like drop down so the other person can get up, but she doesn't care. So the one who started climbing, who got trampled, she has to like unbuckle from the rope and stop climbing it. And right after she does that, the rope comes loose with the insane girl attached to it, and it just goes into the water about like 10 feet or so, and then she just gets eaten by sharks. You know, as it happens, don't be a fool, you know? I'm just saying. And so now they're like, well, fuck, we're trapped. And so it's 3 friends now and the dad. And the dad's like, okay, well, there's a sonar we have that emits a frequency that sharks don't like. Let's turn that back on. And then as he's saying that, he gets eaten. I'm just like, what the fuck? He just dies like that? Are you kidding me? He's a likable character and you just kill him off that easily? So they kill him off that easily, right? And I'm just like, holy shit. And now it's the 3 friends that are left. And so they backtrack through back through the caves so they can find like a 3rd exit, right? Because their first 2 were, you know, blocked off or they can't get through it. So blah 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 blah, something happens, there's like a heavy current, right? And one of the sharks attacks the other friend who's not a sister, because, you know, if you're one of the 2 sisters, you can't die in this movie. And so it attacks the friend's air tank. So the friend decides, what am I going to do other than remove my mask and all my scuba gear so that I'm left with no oxygen underwater? So she does that, and she's in a current, and like when she like lets go of her oxygen tank, the shark like continues biting at it and like swims away. But this friend, you know, she just drowns instantly. Like, that's it. Like, like I'm even surprised at how quickly that ended. And so now it's just the 2 sisters, and they manage to find like a crack in the cave that leads directly to the ocean, right? And they swim out, and they're swimming out there, and they call for help because there's a boat right there. It's the boat that they were supposed to be on in the beginning of the movie that's dropping shark bait to attract sharks, because it's like a shark seeing boat, right? And so 2 sisters go up to it, and they're like freaking out. People are trying to help them. One of the sisters gets got by a shark, but she like claws out its eye and stuff, and like makes it back to the boat. And like she looks down at her bully who's like watched her do this shit, and that's the end of the movie. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. You know, it wasn't a dream sequence, and it did happen, but yeah. Yeah. So, wait, how clawed at a shark again? Yeah, they clawed at a shark again. I think my chat's not working. Right, give me a sec. How do I re-put it in? Wait. Okay. Clawed at a shark again was a different character. Well, yeah, because, okay, so these 2 sisters aren't the first 2 sisters, right? These are, like, completely different characters from the first movie, right? But yeah, she just, like, claws at a shark in the face and, like, it lets go. So, yeah. Because these are all teenagers except for the dad and his co-workers, right? And out of, 7 characters, only 2 of them live. And somehow the sisters are going to have to explain to their mom that the dad got in a cave. It's just gonna be pretty awkward, I imagine. But yeah, that was the movie. Listen, I explained the ending pretty abruptly, but that's pretty much it. Happened really quickly. Definitely more shark scenes than the first one. And more deaths, but it lacked a certain intelligence that the first one had. You know, not to say the first one was terribly intelligent, but like the first one was a lot more intelligent than the second one. Super duper something. I'm disappointed not to see Shark Tale on this list. What can I say? These 10 movies are these 10 movies? Is that 10? That's 10. These 10 movies are the ones I watched in the last week. They're just random shark movies I watched. And that's why Jaws isn't on there. That's why Sharknado's not on there. And that's why Shark Tale's not on there, unfortunately. But hopefully you're doing well, having a good day. Hopefully everyone here is having a good day. If not, hopefully the rest of their day is good as well. But yes, we're at the halfway mark now. And I feel like, okay, this stream has been like an hour and 40 minutes, right? But it shouldn't take another hour and 40 minutes to explain the last 5, right? Other than like the next 2, the last 3 are... Okay, so... Okay. For the girl that drowned, I saw someone left a deeper comment on how she felt. Yeah, I imagine it was like pretty rough for her, but like she was trying to escape a shark, but then, you know, drowned instead. Like, this is the danger of going underwater, and this is why I hate being underwater, you know? Try to find it? Please do find it. I'll be honest, there's like times in these movies where I just didn't heavily pay attention, but I did that for like all these movies except for Deep Blue Sea, so I feel like it's kind of fair. So while you find that, I'm going to write spoilers for Under Paris. Because that's what we're doing. Okay. So, as you can see for the summary, or for like the little notes I have for Under Paris, it's French. It's a French movie. You know, they speak French. So I had to use subtitles. That doesn't really matter. Who cares, right? What I can say though is it's a fun watch, yes. Is it a good movie? It's not the best movie, right? She believed she could escape for a second there when she realized that the shark had only gotten her oxygen tank. She completely forgot she was dozing meters from any surface and faced a terrible type that is the only one that made me really sad. Yeah, that's exactly how it was, right? Because your instinct is to get away from the more immediate threat, right? But she forgot about, you know, the secondary threat that got her. Also in, like, the currents, too, because she got, like, swept away. So, you know, pretty messed up. But, yeah. No, the only one that made me sad was the dad, because his was just so sudden. Like, I knew he... Like, I thought he was going to get got, just, like... It was so quick. He was just saying something, and he just got... Whoop, and he just got taken away. I was like, damn. Like, how? Like, why? Why did he do that to him? Like, he deserved better. He was a good dad. And they took him away. Do you think they use CGI or an actual physical shark? I feel like they probably use CGI for most of it. Because I can't imagine they would, like, okay, for some parts they probably use, like, a physical shark. right? Oh, when it came to sharks physically attacking, they probably, I can't remember accurately, actually. But, like, if you're in, like, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I can't remember it that well. I think I watched that one, I think out of this entire list, I watched 47 Mirrors Down Uncaged first, which means that I watched it like a week ago. So, you know. And then after stuffing my brains full of more shark movies plus other movies, things get a little fuzzy. Alright. But now we have Under Paris, right? I would probably rate it 7 out of 10. Definitely more interesting than 47 Meters Down Uncaged. Definitely not as good as Deep Blue Sea or 47 Meters Down. And certainly a lot better than The Requiem, because that thing was awful. Yeah, and I guess it was better than Open Waters, right? So, Under Paris. Spoilers beginning. My throat's so dry trying to explain all of these movies. I didn't even finish explaining The Requiem, because I only watched like half of it. You know, if you don't have sharks in a movie that's based off of the word shark in French, what's the point of watching it? You know, didn't have sharks in the first half of the movie. Anyway, Under Paris does have sharks in the first half of the movie. In fact, there's a shark in the first 5 minutes. So, we find ourselves with when I first watched it, I was like, oh, it must be like a journalist out here with the cameraman on a boat, right? And they're like taking a look at what they call it, the 8th continent garbage island, something like that. The big blob of garbage in the middle of the ocean. Here becomes draft. They talk about movies that are 90% water. I know the irony. You could hear it in that one. It's salt water though, okay? So like it makes sense. But the camera for tracking is on top of the water cup, so I can't do anything about it. I have a separate drink though. Okay, so Under Paris, I thought it started off with like a journalist and a cameraman. Turns out they're both scientists, right? So it's a group of 6 scientists torturing yourself. Not really. I have a fun time talking about movies. But so it starts off with these 6 French people doing French things in the middle of not French waters, right? And they're doing something with sharks. I don't really know exactly what they're doing, but they're like tagging sharks. Tagging specifically Mako sharks. Mako sharks? And so, of the 6 people, 2 of them stay on board to monitor things. One of which is the main character. And then 4 people go down, one of which is the main character's husband. Right? And so, the main character, she's like watching through the cameras and shit with the other person. And they're like, okay, so let's try to find... I think the shark's name is Lilith. So let's go and find Lilith. You know, the tag's coming up. And so the 4 divers are down there. You know, they see like a blue whale trapped in there with a huge shark bite in the side. And they're like, what the fuck made this bite? And then as one of them goes up to it, a huge shark swings by him. Doesn't kill him though. Doesn't bite him. Just swings by him and he goes, what the fuck? And so that huge shark that's like huge, like swims by, and that one is the one that they tagged earlier, the one called Lilith, right? And they're like, oh my god, how'd they get so big? Anyway, let's tag him anyway, you know, let's inject a little beacon into them for science. you know, the scuba divers are obviously like, you know, why would we do that? And then the protagonist and the other person are like, yo, just do it, you know, should be simple, even though it's like, you know, 3 times the size of a regular shark. So one of them does it and like tags them with like a spear or something. I don't even know what that thing is. But it injures the shark. And the shark's like, oh no, oh hell no, I ain't taking that shit. So it goes and it eats them. You know? It's, you know, you... Okay, how they do it is, I think they show the first person's death, just like them being grabbed by the shark in a cloud of blood. Then the rest of the other 3 are just like, you watch it from the main protagonist's point of view as you see the cameras like fizzle out. And so the main protagonist is like, holy shit, my husband's down there. Time to grab a harpoon with no oxygen tank or mask or anything. Go down there under the garbage and take out this shark. So she fucking grabs this harpoon, fucking runs towards the side of the boat, jumps off, does a dive, goes underwater, swims, right? And just like immediately finds an arm with her husband's ring attached to it. Which is, oh my god, you know? And then she goes down a little further and sees the shark, and she's like, holy shit, this fucker killed 4 out of 6 of my crew, right? And as the shark like swims by, right, nearly getting her, attached to the shark is like one of the nets from the garbage, which attaches to the main protagonist's legs. And so the shark swims downwards with the main protagonist attached to them, and they're like desperately trying to like escape the net. And so the main protagonist like frantically cuts at the rope of the net and like frees themselves and swims all the way back up to the surface. And then it cuts to like a year later or something like that, right? And so this protagonist, she's been disgraced because, you know, her entire crew died, and now she's giving tours at an aquarium that little kids are making fun of her because her, you know, husband and crew died, which is super fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, I would have kicked that kid out of the aquarium. Like, if a kid made fun of my entire crew for dying to a shark, that's really messed up. Right? But so she's approached by this I don't remember the name. Anyway, she's approached by this girl. I'm gonna call her Activist Girl because she's an activist. So she's approached by an activist girl who's like, hey, we hacked into the beacon of Lilith and we were able to track her down. You know, she swam all the way from across the world and around like the coast of India and the tip of South Africa, and is now in Paris. And like, you see this map of like how the shark moved through the ocean of the world, just like down and then up and into Paris, and you just like look at that thing and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how did they come up with this? Like, why would a shark go like halfway across the world into Paris? Why would you do that, right? Like, why would a shark do that? That doesn't make any sense. Just stay in the ocean, you know? Anyways, so the big shark is now in Paris. It's just swimming in the canals and shit. Like, giving no shits, right? It also ate, like, some dude because he, like, crashed his car into the water and they got eaten. Also, it ate 2 homeless people. But not their dog. That was good. But, so... Okay, so activist girl and her girlfriend, they go and take this boat because they're trying to like locate the shark. And so they go down to the wreckage of the crashed car that got crashed like a day earlier, and they saw shark teeth in it. And when the activist girl surfaces, she's approached by the river brigade, the river brigade, which are basically like water police. And they arrest her, you know, Frenchly. And then they bring her back. They're like, why are you, you know, scuba diving in the river? And she goes, because there's a shark. And they're like, well, obviously you're insane. Because no one ever believes that there's a shark in the water, right? And so, for some reason, the activist girl gives out the phone number of the main protagonist, because she's like, I didn't know who else to call. I guess I might as well call you into this situation and fuck your life up a little bit more. I know you don't want to deal with this shark from your traumatic past, but here it is. So she basically hands the main protagonist a platter full of PTSD plus shark shit. And it's just like, you deal with it now. So the protagonist has to deal with the shark, right? And so the protagonist starts working with the River Brigade, which are basically, you know, her and 4 other people go on this boat to where Lilith is, the shark. And 3 of them scuba dive and try to locate the shark to see if it's real, if it exists, right? And so they're down there underwater, going to where the shark is in the river, right? Like, insane. Only one person has a harpoon, right? And, like, far back away from them, up on the shore, the activist girl's watching, and she goes, oh my god, the river police, they've located the shark and they're gonna kill it! Time to switch off the tracker that the main protagonist is using to locate the shark. And then the activist girl's girlfriend is like, if we turn it off, we might not be able to turn it back on again. And the activist girl goes, we have to save the shark. Even though the shark has been eating people, we have to save the shark. So... so she basically forces her girlfriend to turn off the beacon. So the main protagonist is like, where the fuck is the shark? I can't locate it on the tracker. And so they call back the 3 scuba divers from the River Brigade who are down there locating the shark. And they notice the shark circling them, right? It's all around them. They're like, oh my god. And then they're fine. They come up on to the boat and they're fine. Right? This is a brain-off type of film. Entertaining if you can, though. Oh, absolutely a brain-off film. Right? Put this on in the background while you're doing something. Right? But yeah, the shark does not take out anyone. Right? It's just, it's existing, I guess. Right? I guess it doesn't do anything until provoked. But not really. It kind of just attacks people on a whim. But anyway, it decided these 3 scuba divers need to live for now. So they do. And so Activist Girl is like, you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna make a video about animal or shark rights. And so she makes a video about shark rights in the matter of like in like the span of like a few hours, and she like sends it out to a bunch of activists across Paris. And she's like, gather in the catacombs where the big shark is so that we can safely send it out into the ocean. So, because the activist girl's girlfriend is worried about the activist girl, she goes to the River Brigade, and is like, I'm gonna call them the water police for now. She goes to the water police, and then she's like, they're meeting at the catacombs. I'm so scared for her. I don't know what to do. And then at this point, you actually kind of like agree with her, because she's acting a lot better than her partner, because her partner's just insane. It's like, oh, why are you like this? Why did you turn off the shark tracker? Anyways, they also managed to turn the shark tracker on, even though they emphasized for a few minutes about how, like, they wouldn't be able to turn on the shark tracker. But this girl, she just turns it on, like, with ease. So they know it's in the catacombs now. And so, like, 50 activists plus the activist girl are just down there, plus the activist girl's girlfriend. And so they're just there playing with, like, a sonar ball without call the shark. And so the water police, plus the main protagonist lady, they go down into the catacombs, and they're like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to escort these people out of here and order them in a calm fashion so that they do not trample and drown each other in this water. And then we're going to get them all out of here and deal with the sharks. Which I thought was actually pretty good. It was like a really good way of thinking, right? When you're prepping to make sure that the civilians get out in a safe and careful manner, right? So the police get in there and they're like, hey, you guys, don't do this, get out of here. exits are there and there. Get the fuck out, right? And that's when the shark comes. And so the activist girl, she's just in the water playing with a sonar ball, and then she sees the shark. It's like a huge shark, the one giant fin, right? And everyone is in this circular room with like a little bit of a sidewalk around the side so you can walk on land, but in the middle is just water. So activist girl's right in the center there with a ball, with the big shark, and the big shark's child. It had a kid. And it was huge. And so activist girl is like, oh, it had a kid. Proceeds to start playing with the shark child, right? Like petting its face and all that shit. And the main protagonist is like, don't do that. You're gonna aggravate the big shark. And, you know, who would have guessed it? The big shark comes up from beneath, and like launches into the air with activist girl in its mouth, chomps down on her and drags her under, and she's done. That's it. Pretty satisfying because she was super annoying. But now all these activists, they're freaking out, you know? They're like, you know, they were there to, like, you know, have the superior high ground of being morally ethical with animals, but now they're like, man, fuck this shit, I'm out, you know? Leave these other fuckers to die. And so they all just start, like, running for their lives, pushing each other out of the way, pushing other people into the water. Everyone's falling into the water and shit. The ones who are, like, running and pushing people down are, like, they reach, like, the hallway that the police used, and they're, like, trampling on people, basically drowning them underneath their feet and shit, and it's like total mayhem, and like everyone's getting eaten by other sharks and shit, and like the two sharks are like going at people, biting people, and like the main activist girlfriend, she like gets hit in the head or something and drowns to death, and then like all the sharks are like biting into everyone, and then they bite into one of the water police, and that was the only one I cared about, one of the water police people, and like it bites into the water police guy and like tears him away. I think his name was Leopold, and then everyone leaves. And so now they're all at a hospital, right? And the main protagonist lady, she's just kind of like in the middle of the hallway blocking everyone's path. Because like everyone's trying to move around her, but she's just kind of like walking in the middle, like turning around side to side. Like not really knowing where she's going. And you see like all these people who have like lost limbs and stuff. And you're just like, damn. That's fucked up. And like the police were like helping people out of the water and shit, but like everyone was pushing everyone into the water. It was wild, you know. But let me be honest, they got their comeuppance. So. But after that, they're like, well, what are we going to do about the sharks now? And then we cut to the Prime Minister of France, or whoever she was, right? Prime Minister, President, something. I'm gonna call her a royal dictator, because that's basically how she acted. So you get to the royal dictator of France, and she's just like, we're supposed to have a triathlon tomorrow, so like, get rid of the shark. And they're like, man, fuck that shit, we can't get rid of the shark. And so, I feel like I blacked out here because I don't remember anything until the triathlon began. But basically, the triathlon, if you don't know it, is the first part is when people swim. That's pretty much all I think it's like swimming, walking, and biking or something like that in that order. I don't really know what France does. But it's like 50 people who are about to take a swim. And they have like all these like military soldiers lined up all along the riverside, like aiming down with like sniper rifles and shit at the water. And you're just like, holy shit, why do you have like a fucking 50 caliber sniper rifle just aimed down there? I don't think it's 50 caliber. I don't know my sniper rifles, but it was huge. Alright. And so the water police and the main protagonists are like, okay, they're going to continue with the triathlon, which means people are going to swim and die. We need to figure out how to stop them. We need to figure out how to stop the sharks. Right? And they're like, if we blow up the catacombs, we can destroy the sharks. Right? And so they come together, they're like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, here's the game plan. And so, you know, they kind of like, you know, swim into the catacombs, they plant bombs, they have this sonar device that attracts the sharks to make sure that the sharks are like actually in the catacombs. So they bring the sonar in there, they bring a ton of C4 in there, and then when they light up a flare to make sure that there's a shark around, they see not one, not two, but like 200 fucking sharks swimming above them. Like they're a bunch of bees in a nest, right? And they're just like going around in like a mini tornado above them. And you're just like, holy shit, that's insane. What the fuck is happening? How come none of them died yet? How come no one got eaten on the way there? But, yeah, they plant the explosive. They're like, okay, we have it set. It's gonna go off in a few minutes. And the person who has the detonator ready gets bitten in half. And then he, like, starts getting eaten by, like, 20 different sharks that, like, swarm him. And he's, like, screaming. And he drops the remote. And someone else has to pick up the remote, detonate it. And, like, the main protagonist and the main protagonist's probably love interest, who is in the military and also lost people so he can relate to how she feels, they like get blown away from the catacombs in the blast, and they're like, oh, did we manage to get rid of the sharks? And out of the catacomb rubble, with all the skulls on the ground and stuff, comes the big shark, and it looks pretty damaged, right? And so the big shark comes out, and it swims away, and it swims right towards the swimmers, the triathlon people, because the triathlon people are like, we don't know nothing about a shark, even though the general public, you know, has some worries about sharks because they heard some rumors. And so the triathlon people are like, well, let's still swim here. So they start swimming, and then from the back of the pack, you could see swimmers like scream, and then like their screams are cut off as they're dragged into the water. And a few people on the sidelines are like, hey, what is that? Hey, look behind you. And so all the swimmers just stop moving, and then it goes to a top-down shot with the camera, and you can see the shark shadow moving underneath them and dragging people under, which I thought was a pretty cool scene. But so now you see all these swimmers swim towards the edges to try and like get up to the sides and stuff, right? Like, and some people try to like help them. One person reaches down and like grabs onto a swimmer's arm, and then they get pulled into the water. And it's like, well, damn, that's what you get for like, you know, helping someone, I guess. Like, if you're not prepared to pull someone up, don't pull someone up. But, you know, they're like that. And then the military is just like, oh shit, big shark, time to shoot. So they start shooting the shark. And like, for some reason, the shark's like dodging all the fucking bullets and shit. And it's gotten hit with like maybe 3 or 4 bullets. But it doesn't stop the shark because the shark is big. And so the shark like swims past these like, these what you would think would be inert World War II shells, like artillery shells, that like get swept upwards into the water and then like hit downwards and like detonate. So it's a bunch of explosions like following the shark, because the shark is like setting off all these artillery shells, and like the fucking bridges blow up, and there's like this massive wave of water washing over everywhere. And then the main protagonist and their love interest maybe like wake up on like the roof of like a small building, but like they're still like in water, and like they see that Paris is like completely flooded by like 1 to 2 stories, and there's a bunch of shark fins just swimming around them. And that's the end of the movie. I'm like, holy shit, you know, that's not the direction I expected it to go, but that was like, that's a good ending for such a weird film. So, oh yeah, and also at some point they also realized, because they managed to kill the first baby shark, they realized it evolved from a regular shark into a shark that could survive saltwater and freshwater, and it could also make like 30 children within 2 months. And so they're like, we need to destroy. That's why they, you know, use explosives to try and destroy them. Yeah. What a movie. Uh, um, people got their comeuppance. The royal dictator got swept away by water and probably got eaten by sharks. And Paris got flooded, so I guess that's what happens in France. But that was that was under Paris. It's definitely something to watch, I suppose. This next one, I feel like we can knock out pretty easily, because like nothing really major happened in the Meg. It's because they were French. Oh man. Like, I'll be honest, I feel like the people in that movie automatic debuff. Yeah, sucks to be French, I guess. Listen, I feel like the people in the movie, they just left like bombshells under the water, under bridges. I'm just like, how are there that many bombs under like 20 different bridges? Like, it was insane. And for some reason too, the water level rose. Maybe because of the debris that fell in the water that caused it to rise. That makes more sense. But anyway, it was what a thing. What a thing. And now I guess it's time for the Meg. Not the name of a person, but abbreviation for the Megalodon. Let me see. Oh yeah, Under Paris. I have notes for Under Paris, right? I have 5 notes for Under Paris, which are LMAO, insane activists get eaten, super sharks, and ending is wild. I tend to agree with me from 2 hours ago, because I did write these notes like 2 hours ago. Yeah, okay, so the notes I have with listen, the Meg was a super big blockbuster that was probably a few $1 million. I don't think anyone's too worried about it being spoiled, right? Pitch meetings also did a thing about the Meg, and the Meg 2 probably. So I bet a bunch of people know what happened in it. But if you don't know what happened in it, you could probably tell. Big shark. It's pretty much it. It's really a big shark. There's books with the Meg, or called the Meg? Wait, okay, I have to put that in my notes. I want to get that to read. I've been meaning to get the Jurassic Park books, right? Because I heard the first one was like good and like super horrific. I'm gonna write that right here. Get books. The Meg. Is it just called the Meg? Sorry, my throat is like super dry. Here, I'll do this. Sorry if you could hear that. I don't like to do ASMR because I don't like ASMR. Well, actually, the funny ASMR is kind of funny. Yeah, Steve Alton did. There's like 5 or 6 books now. I stopped at the first. Okay, well, that insinuates that the first 3 were relatively decent. Then, at least the first 2. All right, but I don't think the. Listen, I'll be honest. The Meg movies, they weren't that great. They're like I can see why people would want to watch them. But like, just like Under Paris, it's like something to put on in the background. But unlike Under Paris, you can actually understand it because they mostly speak English. Mostly. Yeah, let's get into this. Okay, so I think I can read off my notes for the Meg. Right? My 3 notes are dumb characters, super smart 6-year-old, Jason Statham. Right? you know, he's getting into action movies nowadays. He did Beekeeper, and you know, he's done both Megalodon movies. So how does it start? I'm gonna be honest, even though I watched this like yesterday, I completely forgot most of it. Right? But basically, books are way better and way darker. That's good to hear. Right? Because a lot of these, like, a lot of creature features, I feel, like, okay, I say creature feature, like, the Megalodon and Jurassic Park and stuff like that, the movies, while they can be good, are not as dark as they could have been. You know, not, you know, as interesting per se. You know, obviously, use the darkness in a good way for the movies and all that jazz. Anyways, enough of me not understanding what I'm talking about. The Meg. So it starts off with Jason Statham in a submarine saving a bunch of people, right? He's in a mini submarine attached to a bigger submarine, kind of like how anglerfish males are attached to anglerfish females, right? It's kind of like that, but submarines right now. And so he's got like 8 people in his mini submarine. He's like trying to save people or whatever. So he's got 8 people in there. He's got 4 people in the bigger submarine who are like trapped in there. And he's like, well shit, I guess it's time to close the hatch so we can seal off these other 4 people and save these 8 people. Which, you know, makes sense because, you know, 3 seconds after he closes the hatch, the big submarine blows up. Right? Made sense. At least to me, right? You missed that? Alright, so the Meg, right? Sorry, I need like a I think I should get like a lozenge or something. Like this is destroying my throat. Right? I don't think I've ever like just ranted about movies for like this long. I really like it though. But note for later, I'm going to need to get like 3 bottles of Gatorade next time. Alright, so basically he saves 8 people, leaves 4 people to die, and then when he goes back to the surface, right, Jason Statham goes back to the surface with 8 people. Those 8 people should be fucking grateful that they're alive. Instead, one of them is just like, you suck, you could have saved those 4 people, even though he really couldn't have, because, well, there was a massive explosion, right? It like took out the 4 people 3 seconds after they detached with the submarine, right? Jason Statham made the right call. And so Jason Statham's just like, I know what I saw down there. This is a horrible Jason Statham impression, but he goes, I know what I saw down there. I saw a fucking a huge dent in the side of that submarine. No way something regular could have made that. Basically insinuating that a Megalodon did that, even though, you know, he didn't realize it was a Megalodon at the time. And so we cut to these people who are just like, in an ocean station, maybe? And they're near the Marinara Trench or something, which has like a thermocline. And you can't see through the thermocline because there's fog and shit. And then they decide to send a submarine down there, which, okay, in my opinion, okay, so they were like, let's send a submarine down there, but there might be a floor you know, that you just can't see. So like, you know, let's send a submarine instead of like remote controlled people or remote controlled people, remote controlled drones down there. Like, it would have been so much smarter to send remote controlled drones into the thermocline because they couldn't see what was down there. It's, you know, why would you send 3 people down there? But anyway, they send 3 people down there, and then they get attacked by the Megalodon. And they're like, well, shit, I guess, you know, that's fucked up. And and as these 3 people are waiting for rescue, the people in the station above them are just like, we need to rescue them fast. How are we going to do it? We're going to get Jason Statham to do it. And so they, like, after a few days, I guess, they get him from this tropical island place. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, why did you wait that long to save 3 people? Like, isn't it? Because there's no radio contact, no visual contact, no nothing contact with those 3 people down there in the thermocline. And I'm just thinking, like, how the fuck are they, like, why do you think they're still alive? Like, you should be hopeful. But, like, there's a Megalodon down there, man. Anyway, so they get Jason Statham, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to go, but I'm gonna go anyway. Blah, 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 blah. And then there's, like, this smart 6-year-old that's on the station for some reason. I don't know why she's on the station. Because she's, like, 6 years old, and she really shouldn't be. But she's, like, she's super smart for some reason. And so the super smart 6-year-old girl's mother gets in, like, this little tiny submarine that only fits 1 person and is like, I'm gonna go save those other 3 people. And so she goes down there and gets stuck. So then that's when Jason Statham really has to go down there, and things happen, and Megalodon and other weird creatures. I'll be honest, it all happened so fast. I don't really remember most of this, but there's a Megalodon at some point, and Jason Statham's there, and then the Japanese guy dies, and he like leaves a note for his wife or something, and then a few more people die, and then the Megalodon somehow gets out of the thermocline and bites into the water station, and everyone's just like, what the fuck is happening? Oh my god. And like the 6-year-old who's playing with toys in the water station is like, oh my god, there's a Megalodon right over there. I don't know why she's there. I don't know why they put a 6-year-old in an underwater station. It's so weird. Like, I know they didn't know about the Megalodon, but like, why would you put a 6-year-old down there? Like, put her like in a school or something. The whole exploration thing made more sense in the first book because we were in the 90s and used old Summers book, which is why they're manned. That makes more sense. See, that would have been a lot better, right? Because, like, in this day and age, there's so many more things that you can do, which is, you know, set back the technology for, you know, okay. The farther back in time you go, the more dangerous things like these events could be, right? So saying it back in the 90s would have made a world of difference, man. It would have made so much more sense. Do they also have a 6-year-old in the books who's like uber smart? Listen, I'll be honest, I don't really like the uber smart 6-year-old. It just doesn't make any sense. Why is a 6-year-old that smart? I'm fairly certain they're 6 years old. Either they or they're 8, but at the same time, they shouldn't be that smart. But what else happens? And then somehow the Megalodon dies. Oh, wait. Okay. So the Megalodon gets through the thermocline, and then it reaches the surface, right? And then it's attracted to boats for some reason. No average cast of characters in the book. Well, I would rather an average cast of characters rather than like a super smart 6-year-old, because that just doesn't make sense unless they did genetic experiments on the 6-year-old child, which I'm fairly certain they didn't do. Hopefully. That would have been very immoral. Kind of like Splice. I watched Splice yesterday. What a weird film. Holy shit. What a weird movie. Let me think. So, the Megalodon breaches the surface. You see its huge fin in the water. And then the main cast of characters plus Jason Statham are on a boat. Oh, okay. And so Jason Statham has to go out into the water to throw like a tracking harpoon into the Megalodon. But for some reason they can't be on the boat to do it, right? Because of reasons. And so he's just out there in the middle of the water, and he's just there with the Meg with a rope attached to him in the boat. And he's like, man, fuck this shit. So he throws a harpoon, lands into the Megalodon with a GPS tracker, and the people in the boat are like, oh, you know what? Even though we wanted to, not turn on the boat so as to not attract attention, let's turn on the boat. So they turn on the boat and drive away with Jason Statham barely not getting bitten in his everything by the Megalodon. And then they track it and possibly blow it up, maybe. I wasn't really paying attention to the ending. I definitely paid more attention to the ending in the Meg 2. But yeah. That's all I pretty much remember. I mean, it's not a very memorable movie. Things happened, people got eaten. Megalodon probably died. Yeah. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, Certainly not as good as Deep Blue Sea or 47 Years Down, in my opinion. The Meg 2, or the Meg 1, they could have used the money, like the budget for a better film. Like, you can definitely make a good Megalodon movie, right? It's a big fucking shark. You just have to know how to do it right. Right? And they did it in not the worst way possible, just not a very good way. But judging by if they did set back the technology to the 90s, that would have been so much better. It would have been a lot better. You see it in a bunch of movies where let me think of a movie where they like set back the technology a little bit. Well, you gotta trust me. There's movies where they like set back the technology and it works. It's good. They just have to be careful about it so as not to have any like cars that weren't being made yet, or like clothing choices. It's a little harder to like do, but story-wise, it makes for a better idea thing. And that's the Meg. I think we gotta go to spoilers for the Meg 2. I don't know if I'm fairly certain the like subtitle, The Trench, is actually its subtitle, but I don't know if like it's actually called the Meg 2 The Trench. Listen, I'll be honest, I didn't look up the titles for some of these things. But you can tell, if I told you the Meg 2 The Trench, you would know it's a second Meg movie because it has the Meg 2 in it. Okay. So, the Meg 2, right? Let me actually see my notes for the Meg 2. Okay. To cross-reference them with the first one, In the first Meg movie, we have the notes I have are dumb characters, super smart 6-year-old, and Jason Statham. In the second Meg movie, my 3 notes are dumb characters, no one is smart, and Jason Statham. No one's smart in this. No one. That's, you know, everyone is just dumb. No sense of self-preservation in the second movie. The books were Meg and the Trench. Meg 2 is way different from the book. I can imagine, right? Because wasn't Jurassic Park 2 also different from the book? Because it wasn't the book like made for a movie and then they just didn't do that. Also, Jurassic Park 2 was just insane. Like, the girlfriend bringing a baby T-Rex into like a trailer with like a young girl on board is just disastrous. Insane. But, you know, we're not here to talk about dinosaur movies, which I should actually watch some dinosaur movies and do a version of that someday. We're here to talk about random shark movies I've watched. Yeah, okay, I'll be honest, I also watched I quote-unquote watched 2 others. Right, I watched, quote-unquote, to watch 2 other shark movies, which were, Mako? Something like that. And no, it wasn't that. It wasn't Mako. It was, I watched, quote-unquote, watched Maneater and capsized something, right? And, I'll be honest, I don't remember most. I remember a little bit of capsized. I don't remember anything about Meat Eater. Looks at some similarities, but a lot of major differences from Jurassic Park and Lost World. Yeah. This is why I want to read the books, because I heard the books were a lot better. So, like, aren't the books a lot better in, like, most cases, right? Like, the Silmarillion versus Rings of Power. There's not even a competition between the Silmarillion and the Rings of Power, man. Holy shit, I suffered through Rings of Power. I watched all of that shit. And it was not good. Why would I watch all of it? So that I could eventually talk about how bad it was. Okay, so the reason why I actually watch, like, actually bad things sometimes is just so I myself can say that I know they are bad or maybe they are mediocre. Because I don't want to say something is bad without seeing it first. Although I will say you probably don't need to see all of it to say it's bad. Whereas first film they're pretty close in enjoyment, but second book is way better than the first film. Yeah, I heard, because the first movie is really fun, right? And the second movie is decently fun. But I also heard the book was just a little bit darker in the first one, and then they went off the rails on the second one. But I'll definitely have to check out both books, because I really want to read them. You can actually download the first book online, free. I don't know why they have it online for free, but they do. Which means I should probably read that. But the Meg 2. I need to get this out of my system before I forget. I literally watched this yesterday. Or maybe it was the day before. I'm losing my mind. Sometimes I just can't even tell when the days are. Right? But the Meg 2 starts off with Jason, why do I keep on calling him Jason? Jason Statham in a shipping crate on a boat with people who are destroying the environment by throwing chemicals in the ocean, and Jason Statham goes and sneaks around and takes pictures of shit and financial records and beats up some people and then gets caught and then jumps off the boat and then goes inside of a plane and then they fly away. That's how the movie starts. It took off a lot of brain power to remember that one. But for some reason, he's in a shipping container. I don't understand why. He's just in a shipping container. And he takes some pictures of shit. And the Meg books of protagonist is a massive nerve that rarely goes hands-on. They completely rewrote for Statham. Yeah, well, okay, but here's the thing though. Jason Statham, he's an action guy. He's a man of fists, not words. Well, I mean, he does do acting pretty well, but his characters are pretty much fisticuffs. And I will say this. I can't speak for the books, but in the Meg movies, the only reason to continue watching them is pretty much for two things: Jason Statham and the Megalodon action. Alright, that's pretty much the only two reasons to watch the movies. Let me think. So he goes and he takes pictures and then he beats the shit out of a bunch of people and runs away on the ship. Yeah, so then he gets cornered and he flips them off as he jumps off the boat. And all the people on the boat just go to the railing and go "You're 200 miles away from any shores. How are you gonna get back now?" And then this golden plane swoops in out of nowhere and opens up its mouth that's at the bottom. I don't even know, I guess it really is just a mouth. It opens up its mouth and it scoops up Jason Statham out of the water. I don't understand how he could survive a plane doing that to him, but he could. And so when they land, the plane mouth opens up and he just tumbles out with a bunch of water. And I'm just thinking, how did he not just get thrown around, get concussed in the water of the plane? That just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he's there now, doing stuff. And so cut back to the water station. No, to a different water station that houses a megalodon, right? So this megalodon is the only one in captivity. It's called Haichi, Heibei, Haibi. I'm gonna call it Haibi. I'm fairly certain that's not its name. But so Haibi is the only one in containment, right? It's this huge megalodon that's swimming around in this tiny ass lake. Well, compared to itself, right? It's like if you were put in a broom closet, right? That's the best comparison. If you were put in a broom closet with maybe two broom closets, right? Maybe a small walk-in closet, right? But so there's this dude who's yeah, I can control this motherfucker, I got this clicker. Watch me click at it. So he jumps in the water, right? And everyone's just watching him, through this window. And he's I can control it. 1 click for come, 2 clicks for go away. And so this guy, he's just there. He, clicks at it. The Meg starts, going at him, right? And everyone's just freaking out because the Meg just is speeding up. It's not even slowing down. And the guy double clicks for it to go away. And and right as it comes up on him, everyone turns away and looks away. And they're "Oh my god." And he did this in front of his niece too, who's the previous movie's 6-year-old girl who's now I don't know, 14, I guess. This 14-year-old girl who's basically gonna watch her uncle die in front of her to the Meg. So it looks like the uncle got, but he didn't. He comes back. So in the span of 2 minutes, right, the uncle manages to get away from the megalodon, come back into the base, take off, completely change his, or take off all his gear and stuff, and then comes into the room pretty much dry as hell, right? In 2 minutes. I'm how the fuck did you do that? Even Agent 47 can't do that. But he managed to do it. And everyone's just like, man, that's so fucked up. They're also placing bets too for some reason. They were like, yeah, I'm gonna bet that shark's gonna eat him. Like, why would you do that? Like, isn't that messed up? Like, I didn't realize everyone lived in the Deadpool universe and just like betted on people to die. It's insane. But they did do that. I don't know if anyone got paid for that or not. But anyways, now they want to go back underneath the thermocline where the first Meg movie took place, pretty much, right? And so they go down into it and they discover 2 megalodons? And at some point, Hybe escapes the facility because you know it's a fucking megalodon. You know why are you trying to contain it in like a base next to the ocean? If you want to contain a megalodon, put it in the middle of a large landmass. I don't know how you're going to transport it, but that's the best place to put it. A megalodon's not going to be able to terrorize a city if it can't like reach a city, you know? If it's like flopping on land, it'll crush a few buildings, but like it's not gonna do much. It's gonna, you know, suffocate in the air. But so at some point, Jason Statham, or one of his buddies, the uncle, and the 14-year-old, and 2 other people who are disposable go down into the thermocline to save someone? Maybe the uncle needs saving or something? Anyways. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but like I genuinely cannot remember most of this. But so at some point, their submarine, all of their submarines are just like broken and destroyed. So they have to walk on the seafloor of the thermocline with 2 megalodons surrounding them in order to get to this base under the thermocline that has escape pods, right? And so when they're like trying their best to get over there and stuff, but one of the dudes, he gets got by like maybe an octopus or like a lizard or something. I really cannot tell how he died. He just like screamed something and then you just saw his helmet, right? And then another person, their helmet just caved in because of the pressure. Like right as they were depressurizing, the helmet just crushed in on itself, which was very unfortunate because if they waited like 2 seconds, you know, the secret mercenary mining base at the bottom of the ocean. That's what it was, yeah. Thank you for that. I legitimately cannot remember most of it. Like, it just happens, you know? And that's, like, when it's not a good movie, things just happen because they happen, right? A good, like, in my opinion, a good movie, you can pretty much tell, like, cause and effect, as well as, like, the story, right? This thing happened because of this thing, and this thing happened because of this thing. It's not a film worth remembering in all honesty. Yeah. I remember the ending, though. The ending was exciting, right? Because, okay. I remember this part, though. They were in the escape pod place, and they were being threatened by someone to, they're being threatened to shoot Jason Statham, because if they did that, then the 14-year-old could get on the escape pod. But they didn't do that, so they ejected both escape pods. And then Jason Statham had to fill his synapses with water, that like pressurized water and stuff, so he was basically bleeding out of his nose. And then he managed to swim with no gear on in the water. I counted, it was like 24 seconds, right? So 24 seconds he was swimming through the water to get to this other section of the eject pod, or like escape pod place, and like he shot a lizard at some point, and then he went in there, opened up the gate, and then woke up to being dragged away by an evil guy. Like, in honesty, I was not clear about that. But so yeah, that happens. Very surprised he survived that. Especially with the two megalodons out there. But I guess they're not really focused on the escape pod place. So was it some time passes because things happen. Some people get eaten, and then the main evil lady, because there's a main evil lady in the film, she gets in a helicopter with a bunch of these soldiers, and all the soldiers like leave the helicopter to like shoot at the lizards that are coming up, and then she hears a noise, and she tells the helicopter pilot to go outside to deal with the noise, right? Which is insane. Why doesn't she just take off, right? She should have just taken off with the pilot, but no, she just like stays in the helicopter the entire time, and then she gets got by a lizard and dragged away. Insane. I guess to show up with the giant lizard mercenaries and giant sharks in a tropical island. Yeah, like I'll be honest, I don't understand how the mercenaries lost against giant lizards. Like, the lizards are more used to being underwater than on land, right? Because they're underneath a thermocline. So like I don't know, man. Like, this is so confusing. Also, they should be trained mercenaries. They should be able to, like, you know, not go in a jungle and just, like, stay out in the clearing and shoot at lizards. They're pretty big. They're the size of Komodo dragons. And their heads are huge. But, you know, they do that, and, you know, they get got, and all that. Evil lady's done so. She gets dragged away shooting an assault rifle while she's dragged away by two lizards, something like that. And so now there's 3 megalodons just out there in the wild, surrounding this tropical island, eating people on the beach, right? And Jason Statham's like, okay, I have a jet ski and 3 harpoons with explosives attached. Basically the ending of Deep Blue Sea, but if the main guy had a jet ski. And so he goes with the jet ski, and he takes out one of the, he just like harpoons it right in the face, and it explodes, right? And it's just donezo. And then then he drops the explosives because people shoot it out of his hand, but like the bullets don't hit him, they just hit the metal bar that the explosive is attached to and knock it out of his hand. I don't understand how it doesn't hit him. But he manages to drive away between boats and shit to get away from the people shooting at him with guns. Like, a whole ass LMG is being fired at him, and he doesn't get hit. And so his 2 friends are in a helicopter, and they see the niece on a surfboard trying to help someone get out of the water. And so when they go down to help her, a giant octopus comes up and like attacks a helicopter, and it's like swinging it back and forth. And the uncle, he dives out, he like swan dives out of the helicopter and falls through the fucking ceiling of like a bar or something. And he has his explosive in his hand. And so he he goes into the wire to like save his niece, and then he's just like underwater witnessing this like fight scene between a megalodon and a giant octopus, as the octopus like starts strangling the megalodon, and then the megalodon bites its tentacle and then bites its head off and like kills it and stuff, right? And then the megalodon like aims its sight at Jason Statham, right? The helicopter at this point is like out of commission, right? It's helicopter bits flew everywhere. And so Jason Statham's just like on this boardwalk, and he's like, man, what the fuck am I gonna do? And so he starts like what was it? He starts this is so dumb. So he takes one of the propellers from the helicopter and he starts banging it on the water. He's so strong, he's able to bash the thing into the water so that the megalodons get pissed off and come at him. And so the megalodon's like rushing at him when he's on this rock with a helicopter blade, like chopper blade, in his hands. And he lifts it up and like sticks the end into the ground and points it like diagonally upwards and impales a megalodon on the thing. And he's so fucking strong, he's able to like withstand it and all that shit. And like the megalodon sinks into the blade and like breaks it off and falls into the water dead. And you know, Jason Statham survives somehow. You know, he blew up one megalodon, he impaled the other using a helicopter spinny thing. You know, what else can this guy do? You know, what can't he do actually, right? And so he goes on this board, like this dock, right? And there's like still the people shooting at him. So he goes underneath the pier with like a broken piece of wood, and when the evil guy steps over him, he like stabs him in the back of the leg and then does this cool like roll onto the pier in front of him and like knocks away the gun and shit. And then he has this cool line where he's like, I don't need to use this on you. And then kicks the guy into the megalodon's mouth. I'm just like, how did he know the megalodon was going to turn and swerve into that guy and eat him? Like, I don't understand. And then this megalodon, like, wriggles around and accidentally gets caught up in chains and, like, tries to get Jason Statham. And, like, he's kicking at this thing and he's, like, basically stopping it using the power of his feet and chains. And he's, like, holding on for dear life and he keeps on, like, running over this breaking pier and shit. And eventually, it comes down to Jason Statham, the uncle, and this random dude. And the uncle's like, that's Hybe, the megalodon I was training. I have a clicker because I've always had the clicker this entire time. So let me click twice at it. And so he clicks twice at it, and it goes away. And then everyone gathers up on the beach and drinks except for the 14-year-old. And they're like, what about Hybe? What are we going to do about that megalodon that's on the loose now? And they're like, we'll worry about that tomorrow. For now, we'll celebrate. And that's the end of the movie. And I'm just like, that's fucking insane, man. Like, what? What did I just watch? I don't understand how else to describe it. That thing's insane. You know, Jason Statham managed to do it, you know, blew up one shark, impaled the other, let one go. Listen, I'll be honest, the ending is worth watching. The rest of it, not so much. Right? If you want to have fun, watch the ending of The Meg 2. If not, just don't watch it. Like, that thing was insane. Ugh. I just didn't realize Jason Statham is the beekeeper. Honestly. He was actually really good in The Beekeeper. I like that. That was a good movie, actually. I really like that one. I thought it was so funny, though, because in all the trailers of The Meg 2, you would see Jason Statham, like, pushing a megalodon's jaws away from himself with his one foot. I mean, he has 2 feet, but like he like pushes it away. Wonderfully entertaining film. It was actually really good. I thought Beekeeper had a really good message, really good action, and it was overall a really fun time. You know, definitely a lot of fun for that one. Like the stapler scene. I like the stapler scene. Where he's just like tell me where your boss is. Staple, staple, staple. Definitely a funny part of that one. It was, yeah, I really like that one. Let's see. What? We are down to the last two now, though. The last two movies I felt like talking about because I, for the life of me, I cannot remember or Man Eater or Capsized something or other. I really can't. Spoilers for The Reef. Stalked. Now, here's my question, right? I never looked into this, but if there's a movie called The Reef Stalked, there should be a movie called The Reef, right? Is that a good movie? Because, like, The Reef Stalked was not a good movie. I did not like it. Like, it's a... I would say it's a lesser-known movie. Hopefully it's a lesser-known movie. The Reef Stalked, because, like, like, okay. What can I say about it? Australian film about 4 women going kayaking, right? I guess we'll just get right into it, right? Cause okay. So The Reef Stalked, first of all, let's be clear, starts off pretty dark, right? Starts off with domestic violence, not good. Let me be clear about that. Not good, right? So basically there's these 4 friends, 2 of which are sisters, right? Classic 47 Mirrors Down uncaged scenario, right? There's these 4 sisters, 4 friends, 2 of which are sisters. One of the sisters gets picked up by her husband and then gets drowned in the bathtub, right? Off screen. No one's seen it, right? But the other sister, or the sister of that sister, so I guess the sister of the one who got drowned, goes into their house and, like, calls the police on the guy, because obviously, right? And then goes to the bathtub and sees the other sister drowned in the bathtub and has, like, these psychic PTSD episodes where she's watching the drowning from her sister's point of view and from the husband's point of view. And I don't understand how she has those visions, because, like, she wasn't there. But maybe it was, like, a psychic thing or something. Like, I really could not tell you. But she keeps on having these visions of her sister drowning in a bathtub, which is sad, but I don't understand how she gets those visions, right? Like, they never touch upon how she gets them. Like, maybe it's in her imagination or something, which is more plausible, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, on a year later, the 2 friends and her are back together with another one of their friends, or maybe it's someone's sister. I was never very clear on that part, but now I'm just gonna call them 4 friends. So you got 4 friends, right? We've got the 3 friends and the disposable one, right? So they decide, in honor of the fallen comrade, they would go kayaking. 3 days, 3 nights kayaking trip to, like, 3 different islands, right? I don't know why you would do that, but they did that. And so they have scuba gear and they have kayaks because they want to scuba dive along the way. And so they, like, talk a little bit along the way, and then the main character doesn't want to go into the water anymore because she has the PTSD from her sister being drowned in the bathtub. And so she really doesn't want to go in the water after that. But listen, I'll be honest, this is not a good movie. That's why I keep on stalling for time. I'm really trying to remember this. I'm having a hard time. So these the four of them, four friends, they go out and kayak. 3 of them scuba dive down, and then they all come back up. No one dies, right? One of them gets a fish because they like to fish with a harpoon gun. And the new person of the 4 goes, "Oh shit, that's a shark! I see a shark fin over there. That's a shark!" They make such a big deal about it. Everyone else brushes it off. Well, they kind of brush it off. They're like, "Oh my god, get back to the kayaks." When they all get back into the kayaks, and all 4 of them are safe and sound in the kayaks, they're like, "Well, I guess there's no shark." And so 2 of them head out to go to the island. And the one who saw the shark, it spies on kids on the beach and sees them swimming. I know that sounds bad, but that's what they do. I don't know why they kept looking at the kids on the beach, but they did. It was super weird. But but so 2 of the friends are in the front, and then the one who's spying and then the disposable one are hanging in the back, and then the disposable one so the shark goes and attacks the one who spied, right? Knocks her out of the kayak flips over. She's freaking out, right? It's a shark. It doesn't normally act this way. It's insane. Which, normally it wouldn't act this way, I don't think. Like, why is a shark doing that? But the shark, it, like, tips over her kayak. She's out of the kayak. She's freaking out. She's trying to get on top of the kayak without flipping it over. Then the other friend, the disposable one, comes in and is like, "Let me help you with that." And then they get flipped out of the kayak too. Around the same time as when the other friend who was spying on kids manages to climb up on the on the flipped over kayak and is just staying there, right? Like, they don't want to get down. They're in like cat position. They're like, "Oh my god, there's a shark," right? Which makes sense. Why would you want to go in the water if there's a shark? And so the disposable one is like swimming, and they don't look behind them, and then they get got by the shark, right? And then they're donezo. You don't see them. You don't see any part of them. They're just gone, right? And so you're like, "Man, fuck, what the fuck happened?" And so the 2 friends who are like further ahead come back. They manage to get the girl who's spying to get back into the water temporarily, to flip the kayak and get her back into the kayak. And then they go and kayak towards the beach. And one of them goes on ahead faster because the one whose kayak flipped was like, "There's kids playing at the beach and the shark is going that way. You have to warn the kids." And so one of them goes and warns the children. They're like, "Oh my god, there's a shark." And there's 2 kids and their mom, and one of the kids is already swimming in the water. And oh my god, they don't get got. Thankfully, right? It's just like little 8-year-old child, right? They managed to make it to the shore. But the other girl, she's on like this raft, and the shark right into the bottom of it, flipping it over. And she has to quickly swim back to shore. And the person in the kayak who went on ahead is like trying to help her out. But the little kid gets bitten in the leg by the shark and she's bleeding out. She manages to get the shark to let go somehow, even though it didn't let go of the grown-ass woman like 2 minutes earlier. And so the kayaker like helps the girl onto the shore, and the other 2 kayakers come up and they're like, "Oh my god, we need to get this girl some help. So, some first aid and shit." Right? And they're like, "What are we going to do? We have no cell service. We have to get to the next island." So they leave the 8-year-old child, the injured child, and the mom on the island as they go and make some weird contraption with 2 kayaks and a motorboat, like a small rowboat with a motor attached to it. And they're like, "Okay, we'll go and get help using this. And we need to go to the next island to get that help. And so... So they basically all managed to agree that the 3 remaining friends need to go to that island. And the motor, unsurprisingly, stops working halfway to the island, right? They can see the island now, but like the motor's not working anymore. And a shark is nearby. And also the boat is like filling up with water or something. I don't know, they need to add suspense or something like that. And so they're like, okay, well, what we could do is it's attached to it's attracted to movement or something like that. So what if we took that fish that you speared earlier and we attach it to one of the kayaks and send it out, and then you know, it'll eat the fish on that's attached to the rope that's attached to the kayak and drown or something. I don't know. Their logic was like very flawed in what they were doing, but they were like, yeah, let's do that, you know? And then when they see the kayak just like go down into the water after the shark like, you know, eats the fish, they're like, yeah, we did it. And then they like, oh my god, it's so stupid. Then they take the other kayak that they have and they like unfasten it from the rowboat and like send it off so that they're just now in the rowboat. I don't know why they're just in the rowboat, but like they decided to send the second kayak off. And then all of a sudden they look underneath them and see the first kayak that the shark had dragged under. The shark is now underneath them. And oh no, what are they going to do now? What are they going to do? They're going to throw a net over it and then have 2 of the 3 of them swim to shore. But instead of that, they throw a net over it, and then one of the girls accidentally gets caught in the net with a shark, and then one of the girls starts stabbing the shit out of the shark, and the shark dies, and then they make it to the island. All 3 of them. No one else dies. Only one person died in this film. And then they get help for the little girl. like what? I was expecting someone else to, you know, get got by a shark, but no one did. I'm just like, my expectations, they were low to begin with, but like, only 1 shark kill? 2 shark attacks. Well, I guess 3 shark attacks. One for one of the friends, 1 for the little girl, and 1 for in the net, right? But like only 3 shark attacks and only 1 kill. That was awful. Like I don't know what to tell you, but like that film was just not it. Like, yes, you don't need to have a lot of deaths in a shark movie for it to be good, but you need to have a good story otherwise. Right? Because, like, in Open Waters and in 47 Meters Down, 2 people died in that, right? But they're still good despite it. 47 Meters Down especially was good despite it. The Reef Stalked was just not a good movie and also didn't have shark action. So it was just boring. And that was it. That's pretty much it. It's just a boring movie. I don't know what else to say. Like, I didn't really like it. And now, lastly, spoilers for Deep Fear. So, we've come to the last one on the list. And let me say, this one is not the worst one, because we started off with the worst one. This one just isn't great. Alright. So let me take a sip real quick. So, here we are. Something about cocaine. So okay. So Deep Fear starts off with how do I say this? Deep Fear starts off with the girlfriend, right? Who's the protagonist, right? So the protagonist, she is in a relationship with someone, right? But like doesn't want to be committal for some reason. Blah 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 blah. She's on a boat. Anyways, after 15 minutes of nothing, we finally get to someone on a boat, right? So she's on a boat, and there's this wreckage, this distress call or whatever from like these people in the wreckage. So she goes over, even though her boyfriend's like, you have to call the Coast Guard. But she's like, there's no time, even though you could be like totally calling the Coast Guard at the same time while you're like, going to the wreckage. But she doesn't do that because I don't know. So she goes over to the wreckage in her small sailboat and helps out two people who are just floating on some debris over there. And one of them is just like, oh, we cannot, you can't call the Coast Guard because we're refugees and we're going to get deported back to where we came from, and there's some really bad people over there who will kill us if we go back there. And you have to go save my brother who's down at the bottom of the boat, or some shit like that. And so, of the two people she saved, one of them has scuba diving experience. So she and that person scuba dive down to the boat, and they find a bunch of dead bodies down there. And this boat has been like exploded from the inward, or from the inside, but not in like a usual boat explosion spot, which is a weird thing to say, but like apparently if an explosion were to happen, a boat would be, according to the movie, if an explosion were to happen, it would most likely happen in the engine room because something would have been blown up there. But it wasn't in the engine room for some reason. So she and this other guy go down, scuba dive, help this brother out, he's there, trapped under some pipes. They get him out there, they give some scuba diving gear, and they all swim back to the surface, right? After encountering a shark. And, no, well, not all three of them. Was it the main character and the brother they were saving, managed to get up to the surface, but on the way to the surface, the other guy gets got by a shark. Right? I don't know, he's just eaten by a shark, I guess. But so, the main character and the brother and the sister are now on board the sailboat. And they're like, whew, well, time to go back to shore and get you guys some help. And that's when they both pull guns on her. And they're like, you're going to go down there and scuba dive to get us some cocaine. And she's like, what? Why are you pointing a gun at me? What the fuck is happening? And so they basically, the brother, even though he was trapped down there, knows how to scuba dive. And there's cocaine in the front of the ship because they were like gang members or whatever, smuggling cocaine. And so they tell the protagonist to go and get ready, and so she goes into her room after they take away her radio, and she gets a secondary radio and like starts calling her boyfriend and sounds distressed, and then they take away her radio and chuck her into the ocean, where then they force her to scuba dive. The boyfriend is like, oh my god, we have to go and save her. I'm gonna steal I'm gonna take the fastest boat we have and like go out to get her, but only in the morning, or something like that. And so the brother and the main character go down to the ship to get the cocaine. The cocaine has already been dispersed into the water, So the shark is now super high on cocaine. So this is basically like Cocaine Bear, but if it was less fun and with a shark. Right? And so there's a shark that's just on cocaine now. And the protagonist is just like, well shit, I'm trapped here in the ship with a shark who's high on cocaine. And the brother's like swimming to the surface and shit. And he dies to the shark. The protagonist manages to lure the shark inside the ship and trap it for a little while she gets back on board. And then that's when the boyfriend comes over. And yeah, that's when the boyfriend comes over. And he gets tied up because she has a gun, or like the sister has a gun. And he's like, oh my god, hey, son moves and you're dead. Go down and get cocaine or whatever. And so after the brother dies and the main protagonist comes back up, the sister holds a gun at the protagonist and is like, you, I'll get you. And the boyfriend bashes her over the head and knocks her into the water. Right. They help the protagonist is helped up by the boyfriend onto the boat, and they rest a little while. And then that's when the crazy sister comes back on board with a gun, because she still has the gun, and they didn't check to see if she was still alive. So she comes back on board, she aims it at the protagonist, and then the boyfriend takes a flare gun, shoots it into the sister's stomach, and she falls over into the water dead. And then that's, pretty much the end of the movie. It was, like, they dragged it on, even though it's basically, like, protagonist saves two people. Those two people force her to go down and get cocaine. And then protagonist survives with boyfriend. Like, it's not a very extensive movie. It's certainly not one of the better ones, but, that's what happened. But yeah, that's pretty much how my shark binge has been. No, we've gotten to the end of my shark movie addiction. Well, not yet. I'll probably still watch Sharknado again, rewatch Jaws, stuff like that. But yeah. I want them to make more shark movies, I'll be honest. But like, good shark movies, You gotta feel like a sense of danger, a little sense of action, some shark attacks, some shark action, stuff like that. But yeah, the only shark movies that are coming out are just like the Megalodon movies. And I guess B movies too. Oh my god, I watched Black Demon. I forgot to put that on here. I completely forgot about it. Yeah, that one's just a weird movie. Yeah. I will say the ending is sad though, actually. Surprisingly sad. For not a good movie. Because, okay, so in the Black Demon, there's annoying characters, and the family is, the wife is also kind of annoying, and the villagers are pretty much assholes. And the husband is not an asshole, but he kind of is for a little bit, but not really. And you kind of side with him, because like, what could he do? And then it's sad at the end. It's like actually pretty sad at the end, which is surprising, but like it was pretty good. The ending. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie though, the Black Demon was a lot better than most of these movies. Just not, not as good as 47 Meters Down, Deep Blue Sea. Maybe on par with like 47 Meters Down and Cage in terms of like overall quality. Yeah. we've come to the end of the stream. It's finally over. The end of the sharks. No more sharks for now. I'm glad there was like enough of a niche to like talk about just shark movies. Cause for like especially lesser known shark movies, right, that are being made, because it's harder to find good movies that are like specifically, like for example, like gun kata, like John Wick stuff, right? Because it's like, what's John Wick like, or John Wick hyphen like? Well, you have John Wick, you have Sisu, you have nobody. Not really Monkey Man. Not really Monkey Man. Oh, Beans, hello! But yeah, it's just harder to find a niche for certain movies. Or like a niche genre for certain movies to talk about. Yeah, I definitely have to say, of the horror genre, I'm more of a particular fan of creature features. Cause like, yeah, you know, slasher movies are okay or whatever, but like I'm just more interested in like the creatures doing stuff, you know. That's why I like the Godzilla movies. Although I pretty much only watch like the recent ones. But like Godzilla and shit doing stuff, that's fun. Maybe I have to talk about the Godzilla movies at some point. Yeah. That's a good idea. The Monsterverse. Minus the TV show. I didn't really like the TV show. There's a TV show called Monarch, based off of the Godzilla universe. Not very good TV show, I'll be honest. But yeah. I try and end off my streams with a life lesson. So life lesson of the day. Don't go underwater with sharks. That's a bad idea. If this stream has been of any use and has given any advice, don't go in the water with sharks. That's, you know, that's what I gotta say. But thank you, Beans, for watching. Thank you, Krovacon. Thank you, Kawakit. Thank you, Gollum. Thank you, Insanity, for joining on this wonderful ranting stream about shark movies. I had a lot of fun with this one. I might do this sometime again. Definitely hurt my throat though, because I've been like non-stop talking for like 3 hours and 20 minutes. So, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you all the lurkers and all that jazz, and hopefully you guys have a good week. Hopefully you have a good month. And yeah, I'm gonna go rest my throat now. Goodbye. I should get lozenges at some point. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.